UK.
Welcome.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone,
in your car,
at work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
Are you ready to turn it up? This is Star Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Welcome.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK.
Ìgbéyàwó ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ẹnu mi. Mo ní igi láńbẹ́ ní kò ìgbọ́. Ìgbọ́ yìí máa bí mo lọ. Àràbà yìí wá gbìyànjú kò dó máa kó wà lárẹ́ lọ. Igi ayọ̀ wà lóhun tó máa fi ṣàràbà lórí. Oníwíwọ́ ní káràbà ìlọ́wọ́ láwùjọ igi. Oníléwọ̀ ẹ̀ kò máa gbọ́dọ̀ wò. Ọba ní ẹ̀gbọ́dọ̀ wọ láwùjọ. Ṣọ́jà àbá ń sọ Fúlàní wọ̀nyí bó ṣe ń pa wá. Ṣó wá sùn ọkọ̀ máa dé ẹmọ́ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kó jáwọ́ ní. Àwọn àgbààgbà ikọ̀ wọn kò tíra nù. Odò sì wá kó wà láyé rẹ̀ lọ. Ó máa ṣe oore, kò máa gbọ́dọ̀ wò. Ọba ní ẹ̀gbọ́dọ̀ wọ láwùjọ. Èrò bá mi kọ́ máa dé mọ́. Èmi kí ọmọ ìyàn ilẹ̀ akíkanjú ọkùnrin ogun. Èrò bá mi kọ́ mọ́ wọn ní ìgbọ́ ọmọ rẹ̀. màmá ló fún màmá tìdí bẹ́ẹ̀ ọmọ bàbá ló fún màmá ṣojo. Sunday ẹ̀yẹ tó má ṣe bá gbé ẹ̀ ò sí ní gbọ́mọ́. Òrìṣà tí ó ṣe bọ́kọ̀ àmàdé mọ̀ ni ṣe bí yẹn ò ọmọ làgbẹ̀dẹ. Ẹ bá lè jẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n náà jẹ́. Adéyẹmí ọmọ sọ́kọ̀ kan láì gbà. Ibi orí tó máa kọ́ ni wípé Yorùbá nation ìlógún ìbá kìíní. Ẹ̀dá bí rẹ̀ ṣọmọ òwe. Ó máa ń gbọ́dọ̀ wò. Ó máa ń gbọ́dọ̀ wò. Onílé òwe. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ká rórí. Ọjọ́ wo ni wọ́n dalẹ̀ ìfẹ́ tó gbọ̀ngàn? Àwọn kan sáré kó lè dára. Èrè bó bàjẹ́ kókò mi làwọn kan sá. Ṣó dára kí dára aṣọ ìwà lọ́kùn? Yorùbá ẹ ronú ẹ lọ fi mọ ṣọ̀kan. Ọ̀sán ló kọ́ ọ̀sán ìwà ká. Kó máa gbúdọ̀ wò. Ọba ní ibùdó wọn láwùjọ. Ìdí táwọn àgbàgbà ìtọ́mọ fi lè sòdodo. Ó ti sáwọn àjẹjẹ wá jọba. Ìrànlọ́wọ́ àgbàgbà ìgbédáníjọ́ kiri. Ó máa ṣe òye. Ó máa gbúdọ̀ òye. Àwọn ní ìgbúdọ̀ wọn láwùjọ. Ọba mẹ́wàá ìgbà mẹ́wàá yóò máa lòlẹ̀ ayé fún. Lọ́ba lóye Yorùbá. Mo bẹ̀ yín ẹ̀ ṣayé yìí rẹ̀.
I say good evening and welcome.
Mo bàjẹ́ láyé olúgbọ́ ọkọ̀ máa bàjẹ́ láyé àrẹ̀sà wọn. Mo máa sọrí sí ìbàjẹ́ òye. Àbẹ́ òrí.
It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Àrùkọ Yorùbá ó máa fọwọ́ rọrí kú mọ́. Ẹ̀bá ọ̀nà lọ́mọ kékeré kú sí kiri. Owó lọ́pọ̀ lè lọ́pọ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá mọ́. Ìjọkíjọ lọ́dọ́ ló mọ ìwà sáré kiri. Ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ká lélẹ̀.
And welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Bájúmọ́ á padà sílé bàbá ẹ̀ nìyí. Ṣebí ewúrẹ́ yẹn ò lọ ṣọmọ yá àgùntàn. Àgùntàn ló ní mọ́mọ́ mi òbí dúdú òye. Ṣebí látọ̀dọ̀.
It is the Wednesday edition and it is all about the Niger voices. Ecowas court ruling. What about the Sosoliso plane crash? Have you heard about it? Everything on the Star Radio UK network tonight. We're just branching in and I say good evening and welcome once again. Do you think that we can ever get justice in Nigeria?
Ìdẹ̀ra ló fojoojúmọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wọn. Ṣùgbọ́n omi nílànà fojoojúmọ́ fún àmọ́. ṣe àsìkò tí tó ilé tó lọ òmìnira àlàfẹ́ ó ṣe àsìkò tí tó ilé tó lọ òmìnira àlàfẹ́ ó ṣe àsìkò tí tó ilé tó lọ òmìnira àlàfẹ́ ó.
And I say good evening and welcome to Naija Voices once again. It is the beautiful cold weather in London. My name is Olayomi Koike, and I'd like to appreciate all our presenters and mostly the producers, the sound engineer, and every single one of you that have been part of this program in the last almost few years ago. Tonight is well packed. And we're going to kickstart quickly because we have a lot of individuals that we want to speak to. But most importantly, I want us to remember that many of us continue to say that we will never get justice in Nigeria. So much has happened, in Nigeria, and a lot is still happening as I speak to you. But the question is, how do we find out the solution to all the problems encounter in Nigeria? We will be able to speak to a mother tonight, and it's going to be a little bit very, very emotional because we're talking about many lives that were killed at the plane crash in Nigeria in 2005. Till date, it seems that justice have not yet been served. Also, just as we prepare the program, we will also be speaking to, one of our leaders when it comes to the Yoruba Nation struggle all the way in the territory known as Southwest of Nigeria. Also, if all goes as planned, we should also have what we call the legal part of the Ecowas ruling yesterday. So it is a very, very packed event, and we need to kickstart as quickly as possible. My name is Olayomi Koike. If this is going to be your first time of watching us on the Star Radio UK, what you can do for us is just say to somebody that we are live. Let them know that we are live. We are streaming on the Star Radio UK from the apps onto the Twitter, the YouTube, and likewise on the other sister broadcasts as well. So it's a very packed event, and I would like us all to sit back. I was at the COVID inquiry. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. But for now, do we think that we can ever get justice in Nigeria? Do you think that justice will ever occur in Nigeria, especially when so much has happened in the last 63 years? Tonight, I'm going to remind us that there was a plane crash that took place right from Abuja to Port Harcourt. Many of you must have heard about it. Maybe some of you, probably not. We are talking about many lives that got killed in that plane crash. What plane crash are we talking about? We're talking about Sosoliso plane crash that took off all the way from Abuja on his way to Port Harcourt, and a lot happened. How many plane crash has happened in Nigeria? And what was the first plane crash? Do you know the first plane crash? You're going to be hearing all that tonight on the Star Radio UK. And I say good evening and welcome once again.
This is Star Radio UK.
If you can hear me loud and clear, just let me know, because there's sometimes, the sound can be a little bit, but I can tell you that we are live on multiple platforms, and that literally means that everything should be well as it's planned.
The best radio show.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Once again, my name is Olayomi Koike. I say good evening and welcome to the program.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
2005, a plane took off from Abuja heading to Port Harcourt, full with many children that were meant to be received by their mothers. But as we can tell you, the plane has now become history. On Sunday, the 10th of this month, Some of you might not know, but the mothers, the parents of those that have been affected, good evening to many of you that have joined us, and Mrs. Rukayat Omaumi say, there is no justice in the zoo. Sosoliso airline was operating from Nigeria from 1994, while I was just about a year coming out of the secondary school. Do you know that a mother, father lost their loved ones? Good evening to you, Bishop Adeshino Olakunle. Good evening to you. And the most important thing, like I said, is let us first start with the Ecowas. Let us start with the Ecowas and let us find out, what do we know? What do we understand when it comes to the Ecowas? Because so many of us might never understand that life is very difficult if you do not get justice. Many of us continue to ask for justice, justice, justice for the NSAS, justice for Mohbad, justice for Bamishe, justice for Pelumi, justice for Tolulope Rotile, justice for Delegiwa, justice for the family of Anikulapo Kuti, justice for every innocent life up to 150 that were killed by the military just less than 48 hours ago. Do you think that we can ever get justice in Nigeria? And if we're going to get justice, how do we get that justice? Where is the justice going to come from? Is it going to be a justice that will be deserved? Is it going to be a justice that some of us will be able to say, yes, that is exactly what we are saying? So tonight is just 11 minutes past on the Star Radio UK network, and I say good evening, and also
Welcome.
my name is Olami Koiki. There is a lot on the table. There's a lot I want to talk about, and I want to take them one at a time. If you're watching me on any of the platform, you can say shout out to me, and I'm going to be able to say shout out to you. If you're watching us around the world, I say good evening and welcome to the Star Radio UK network. As I say all the time, many might not understand that someone like Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho continue to fight for the justice of many innocent lives that have been killed and massacred. And one thing is, if you refuse to speak, many lives will be lost, just as the lives of those innocent children that were killed during the Sosoliso plane crash from Abuja to Port Harcourt. I'll be giving you all the details, everything you need to know when it comes to that plane crash. Also, I'll be telling you more about whether we would ever get justice for the 150 innocent lives that were bombed by the military in Kaduna. Mrs. Margaret Ibijoke say injustice is practically what Nigeria politics is all about. How many of you remember Sosoliso plane crash? Like I said, Sosoliso plane crash took off from Abuja in 2005 at exactly almost 2 p.m. It was meant to be a very smooth ride, less than an hour, but many lives got perished. Maybe one or two survived, but a mother is going to speak to us tonight because her son died in that particular plane crash. But like I said, let us first touch on whether we can get through to the legal team, one of the legal team behind the justice that was served for our father and the leader, Dr. Chief Igboho Adeyemo. As many of us have been hearing the news that Igboho got his freedom, it is not fluke. It is because we wanted justice. And we wanted to make sure that justice is served to everyone, regardless of your status. But one thing about it in Nigeria is that many of us are asking for justice, but we can't get those justice. Thank you so much, Alex Mamu, and welcome once again to any of you that have joined us. Great Yoruba Nation, good evening to you. And like I said all the time, there's a lot on the table tonight, and we'll be taking it. Let me first appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David, Mr. Archie Amon, and also Mr. Francis, that has been working tirelessly to make sure that we can come on air every Wednesday. The weather is very beautiful outside, but it's a little bit cold. But one thing is, at 14 minutes past, 1800 hours coming up to 15, as I was making my way to the studio, sometimes, like I said, I love The public transport is one of the best here in UK. You can literally travel and you can plot the timing. I was able to plot my time from getting onto the bus, and I knew what time the bus gets to my bus stop and what time I'm coming up on the bus. Is that the same thing in Nigeria? Can you guarantee that when you travel in Nigeria, you can literally get to your destination without any hiccup? Tonight, I'm going to be looking into the Sosoliso plane crash, but we want to start, as I say, with the Ecowas. So what do we know about Ecowas? Who are Ecowas? Many Nigerians might probably not even know that Ecowas headquarters is in Abuja. Do you know that? And sometimes it seems that if some African countries refuse to respect the laws, especially the international law, then we have to take them to the court. Because the only way you can fight injustice is to make sure that you go all the way through to fight it. You don't allow people to keep you below and say, oh, because it is not going to, we're not going to get justice, and that means we will leave it to God. No, we don't want to leave anything to God. We want to make sure that we deal with any problem rather than wait for God, because waiting for God is going to mean that many people is going to die, and that is something that we don't want. We want to make sure that if there's an injustice, we want to go for that, and we want to make sure that justice is served. So we're going to start with the ECOWAS ruling on Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho, popularly known as AKA Igboho Sha. As we say all the time, this is an innocent man that had nothing but being persecuted because of some of the reasons that he believed that we cannot sit behind and allow terrorists to continue to massacre and kill innocent lives in the southwest of Nigeria, known as the Yoruba territory. That is the reason why Igboho stood and said, enough is enough. Many of you that are watching us from different African countries might not know who this individual is, but we will be able to tell you a little bit about him. Igboho is not just an activist, he's also a philanthropist. Chief Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho, is a Nigerian Yoruba self-determination activist, a philanthropist, nicknamed after his hometown. He rose to fame following his role in the Modakeke Ife communion crisis in 1997. He actually played a vital role. And today, he continues to play that role, and that is the reason why he has become a target to the federal government of Nigeria. But as we know, in 2021, Igboho house was not just invaded, his house was attacked. His house was attacked because of one thing, because he said to the Fulani terrorists that we would not sit back and allow you to continue to disrupt the farmland in Yoruba land. And that literally meant that some cabals within the Fulani clan would not be happy with such. And then what happened? Igboho's house was attacked on the 1st of July 2021. Igboho was able to escape that, but unfortunately, Igboho lost two very good friends, an uncle, and a close business associate. Alhaji Fatai was murdered right inside the Soka residence of Dr. Igboho's house in Oyo State, Ibadan. Also, his close friend, business partner, Alhaji Adogon, left a wife, a mother, and children, was also murdered, cold murder, by those sent by the former President Muhammadu Buhari and the Vice President Yemi Osibajo. Igboho was able to escape that incident, but innocent Yorubas or Nigerians were also removed from the house. Animals were killed, thinking that Igboho would transform back into a human being. Down the line, about some 20 days after that, Igboho resurfaced back again in Benin Republic en route to Germany. And then what led to his arrest, detention, has now been confirmed that that literally violated what we can call international law. There is international law according to countries that have signed those treaties. And as we say all the time, if you do not speak for wrongdoing of any government, you are likely to become also part of that criminality that is taking place. So as much as many of us, good evening to you, Waris Jinodu, good evening to you, Bishop Additional, once again saying Nigerian military claim responsible and apologize for the killing Nigerian citizens in the IDP in their country, yet there is no resignation. We're going to come back to that later on. It's all about looking for justice, and that is why the Sosoliso plane crash will be something that we'll be discussing with a mother that lost a son. We will be coming in that just about a few more minutes as we continue to prepare our mind. Let me say this clearly. First and foremost, Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho is not the criminal that many of you think. It has now been confirmed also by the Ecowas court. The Ecowas ruling that came out yesterday has now told us exactly what we have been saying in the last 2 years, that Dr. Igboho is not a criminal. And he must now be allowed to not just be given an accolade by the federal government. I understand that the federal government might not want to do such, but the most important thing is the ECOWAS court has given timeline for 20 million CFA to be paid to Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. According to the Economic Community of West Africa States, also known as ECOWAS, ECOWAS gave a justice, has now ordered the government of the Republic of Benin, where we are also grateful, to President Talon, but ECOWAS disagreed, saying that Igboho arrest violated international law that Benin Republic also signed a treaty along with. The court ordered that the money should be paid within 3 months. That is 90 days from today. So if we look at the days, we are looking at somewhere around the end of February for the full payment, or the first week of March. Will Benin Republic pay this money? Some Yorubas or some of us are also skeptical. I've been receiving calls and people are saying that, oh, this is not just like a trap. Some are even thinking that this is a payment that would then allow Igboho to stop his campaign for the right to self-determination. I can confirm that this payment, whenever it's going to come, it is very, very justifiable, because not just the damage for this innocent man that was traveling, the crime that was labeled on him. Even many Nigerians till today believe that Igboho operated against what we call, the lines of the federal government. And let me say this clearly. The ECOWAS ruling that we saw that took place in the last couple of days, or yesterday rather, has literally given us the hope that some of us have been talking about. Igboho is not an ordinary individual, but it seems that many people might not understand that. Igboho is just the Eledumare sent, the gods of the Yoruba land. Because in the midst of every crisis, in the midst of everything that we have been told, Igboho still remained focused without being distracted. Once again, this is
Star Radio UK. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
all around the world. Are you ready to turn it up?
once again, Igboho had on February 10 filed an application before the court challenging his arrest and detention in Benin Republic. And as we know, judgment in the suit that marked ECW CCJAPP 1522 was delivered by 3-member panel yesterday. The ECOWAS also directed the country known as Benin Republic to comply with his order and report back to the court with evidence of payment. So, like I said, if today is the 6th day of the month of December, in 3 months' time, we are looking at somewhere around the first week of March 2024, God's willing. Like I said to us, many lives continue to suffer because many people refuse to speak up. My name is Olami Koiki, and you are literally on.
This is Star Radio UK.
Every Wednesday, this is how we roll it, this is how we do it. Ecowas called rules in favor of Chief Dr. Sunday Igboho, plus also Sosoliso plane crash in 2005. So in about just almost 35 minutes, we're going to connect with the mother that was affected at this particular Sosoliso crime that took place between Abuja and Port Harcourt. Have they paid compensation? Was there any inquiry? Has the family been, the Breville family that lost lives, the children that died in that plane crash? What has the federal government done differently? Have we witnessed more plane crash? What was the first plane crash? What was the first plane crash that took place right inside Nigeria? I'll be telling you everything you need to know. Just make sure you sit back and enjoy the program. My name again is Olami Koiki, and this is your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
Once again, many of us continue to ask questions. Is Nigeria still a country? And if Nigeria is a country, why then are we not getting justice for so many crimes against humanity? Why then do we not speak out when crime has been also, as crime continues to happen in Nigeria? Once again, for those of you that are watching us on other platforms, maybe you might want to reboot a little bit. If you can't hear us a little bit much, maybe you can just reboot the system, but we'll see if we can work on the audio in just about a few minutes. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
As we say all the time, it is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
Let's hope the audio will be a little bit better. We've made some adjustment, and let's hope some of you that are watching us on the sister broadcast will be able to hear us much clearly. Once again, good evening to you, Mrs. Grace Ilushoto. Good evening to Professor Adebanji Akitoye. Good evening to all the Yorubas, and good evening, Nigerians, and welcome once again to the program. As we say, there is a lot that is happening in Nigeria, and there's a lot having big impact on the lives of many people in the country. Like I said to us, do we sit back and do nothing, or should we speak up when many things have gone wrong? What are the things that have gone wrong? So much things have gone wrong in Nigeria, and as we speak to you today, many of us have been asking, are we ever going to get justice? Because the Sosoliso airline was operating in Nigeria until there was a fatal accident that killed numbers of people. We were speaking to a mother, like I said, later on. Also, we've been communicating to find out more about the Yoruba radio. I'm going to be speaking to one of our leaders later on as well. But like I said, we are still trying to see if we can get a signal to get to speak to one of the legal team behind the Ecowas of Dr. Igboho. Let's go back to it quickly, and then we will wait and see. If otherwise, we will continue with the program. If you're watching us for the first time, I say
welcome.
And once again on the
This is Star Radio UK.
In July 2021, Chief Igboho was arrested alongside his wife, Mrs. Rocco Adeyemo, and also on behalf of the Star Radio UK, we continue to have, pray for the family of these, strong, family, both all the wives and the children, for the mother-in-law, Mrs. Iyabo Adeshola, that passed away on the 4th of December 2023. We are still mourning the mother of Dr. Chief Igboho himself until the news break around afternoon, the 4th day of the month of December, that Mrs. Rockwell, the wife of Oloye Dr. Adeyemo Igboho, the mother-in-law, she also died. She has been buried according to the Islamic rite. Within the next 8 days, there will be more prayer for any one of you that will be planning to visit that particular district. You can get in touch with us. And also, this is also the time to rally around, Dr. Igboho, and let us not just pray for him. Let us continue to have him in our heart, because right now, I spoke to him this afternoon, just like we do all the time. He's doing very well. He's staying very strong, but he needs us to continue to pray for him as well at this very difficult time that the family are, going through this bereavement as well. July was when Dr. Igboho was stopped in Cotonou en route to Germany, where he's currently at the moment. But the reason why he left Nigeria to Cotonou was because the federal government wanted to assassinate and kill him, so that maybe by killing him, and that way they might probably say it is an unknown soldier, but that was literally something that they couldn't lock to, because this is not the case of the Fela Anikulapo Kuti time, when those family refused to accept that, the burning of those property, the mother that was killed, unknown soldier. There's nothing called unknown soldier. These are Nigerian military that invaded the family residence, just like they would have said to us it was the unknown soldier. Just as today, nobody can give us a clarity of what happened to Dele Giwa, but we know that Babangida was in power. Babangida sent that letter, and every indication still point to the government of Babangida, that was a military dictator in the 80s that killed Dele Giwa in a letter bomb. But the question tonight is, justice was something that we have been asking for, and yesterday that justice came again from the Ecowas court, ruling that Benin Republic not just violated international law for the detention and the arrest of Igboho, but they should also be making payment to him in the next 3 months. The Yoruba Nation, agitation had fled Nigeria, after the Department of the State Services, assassinated, two very close family and a friend on the 1st of July, just less than 48 hours before the rally going up in Lagos State. As we know, 12 people were also arrested. Some of them were, later released en route to Abuja. And likewise, the attempt by the Nigerian government to take Igboho back to Nigeria failed, because the Nigerian government had no solid, reason that they wanted to get Igboho back. But Benin Republic court refused to allow such to happen. That literally made the federal government not to be happy. We still have a court case in Ibadan against the federal government for the damage of the property of Chief Igboho's residence in Soka. Going further, however, Igboho fought the legal battle between himself and the federal government, and also Benin Republic, both in Benin, and he was later released until he was able to fly out of Benin Republic some few weeks back. But today, some of us are very grateful, because this is exactly what we have been saying continuously, that there was no reason for that such, attack on his life, on the 1st of July. There was no reason, because we have Gumi, a criminal that is still moving around in Nigeria as we speak to you today, just as we still have as many other terrorists that are operating. Igboho is not a terrorist. Igboho was never, using ammunition to attack, any individual. Likewise, the military. We've seen the military, barracks being infiltrated, being attacked continuously by the Boko Haram and the ISIS. Even the military itself decided that it was not something that they would have done if they planned and do exactly what they should have done. But eventually, the military bombed over 150 people in Kaduna just about a few days ago. As we continue, Igboho is still not just fighting the case in Ibadan, but also there is now what they call violation to his right. Many Nigerians do not understand their rights. So some of us outside the country literally have to explain your right to you. While I was at the COVID inquiry, today, I saw many innocent families that lost their loved one because of the COVID-19. And as we also, as my report was going on right there, today, that the reason why the inquiry is going on is not just for anything, it's for the fact that, something went wrong, and whatever went wrong must now be looked into so that we do not experience such again. But it is a different thing in Nigeria. That is why at exactly almost 25 minutes, 7 p.m. local time, I'll be speaking to a mother that the son got killed inside the Sosoliso plane crash in 2005. So when we say that your right is being violated all the time, many of you continue to attack, and many of you continue to ask questions while we are trying to find out why your right has also been affected. Even according to the Amnesty International, just some few days ago, if not last week, we picked up that story that Bola Tinubu, the current president, has failed when it comes to the right of innocent Nigerians. The Amnesty literally came out with an article, even a month ago, continue to say that Amnesty International and others demand justice for the victims of enforced disappearance in the Northeast. The Nigerian army that had made the airstrike in Kaduna, we hope that there will be a probe, as the Amnesty International is also calling for such a probe. The question we are asking all the time is this how we will continue to live in a country where your right will not be respected? Nnamdi Kanu returned to the court in the next couple of days. We're looking at somewhere around the 15th of this month. Is he going to get his right back? Or do we just say that, the rendition and the kidnap of Nnamdi Kanu by the former president and the vice president, Muhammadu Buhari and Yemi Osinbajo, was right? Nnamdi Kanu kidnap and rendition violated his right. The question is, what we saw from the Ecowas indicating that the violation of Igbo's right is something that will not be tolerated as long as you have signed for such as a country. And a republic, just as Nigeria, signed all this, part, but unfortunately, these are lawless countries that refuse to respect rule of law. And when we say that Nigeria is a lawless country, we literally mean it's a lawless country that does not respect your right. We would then take you to court, because that should be the language and also the right of Igboho that was violated for almost 2 years. He has lost not just business, he has lost a lot that it would take some time before he can walk it back. So when some of you out in Nigeria continue to point finger against someone like Chief Igboho, the question you should ask yourself is, what about your right? Do you think that your right is not being violated in what is called Nigeria today?
This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome.
Are you ready to turn it up?
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Once again, it is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
The best radio show.
Just 7 days ago, Amnesty International says, and I quote, Amnesty International decried President Bola Tinubu's failure to uphold human rights. Many of you do not understand your right because your right has been violated. Once again, Mr. Abitayo says Nigerian government also killed many people like Pa Alfred Rwani, Lake Bola Ige, the Chief Justice under Obasanjo, Elijah Suliat Adedeji, and so many to mention few. If you can remember anyone that Nigeria has killed, please continue to put it in the comment section, and I'll be reading them out for the benefit of those that are watching us in different platforms. Good evening to you, Comrade Plan B. Good evening to you. As also Ogunwala Biodo say, it will not be well with the Nigeria and their military. And you also went to say, time that we should exit Nigeria before it is too late. Okay, Ahmed Jami said, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much. And you also went to say, Yoruba nation no going back and definitely no going back. Like I said to you, we'll be speaking to someone around almost before 8:30 to talk about the Yoruba Nation Radio. Good evening to you, Mrs. Kemi Bello. Good evening, Silva Badmos. Good evening, Mr. Oyedepo Akambi Oladuni. The weather in London is getting very cold. Do not mind what I'm putting on, but if you love what I'm putting on and you want to have something similar like this, then you can find out from one of our finest fashion designer of our time, where you can also have the opportunity so that I can make something like this. You know, I look very unique. I remember entering into the COVID-19 and everybody was jealous of what I was putting on because I was not dressing like the English. I was dressing properly as Omo Yoruba. And that is what makes me look different. You know, all the other journalists were looking at me. You know, some of them were like admiring the outfit. And some of them also say, wow, thank you. You look so cool. So if you want something like this as well, why not look at it on the IG, on the Instagram, Omita Culture, or you can get in touch with them on 081-385-28588. I repeat the number again, 081-385-28588. If you're checking them from UK or Europe or America, Asia, remember to add the plus 234-813-852-858, where you can get a very bespoke tailoring, ashwebi, custom-made Owambe kiddies. And you can also send some of your family, maybe they want to do fashion training. That is what makes me look unique. And everyone was just admiring my outfit on the train, on the bus. I get on the bus driver was like, wow, you look so cool, man. But I had to put on the jacket because it is winter here. Thank you so much as you're joining us on all the platforms. Like I said, in 20 minutes, I'll be speaking now to the mother of one of the individual that got killed. It's going to be 18 years anniversary on Sunday, and she's also going to be talking about what happened with a launching of a YouTube channel that she's going to be explaining everything to us in the next 20 minutes. Once again, how many lives do we need to wait before we start asking for justice? Amnesty International has now urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that have returned from the climate summit to make human rights protection its priority by ensuring that everyone, Nigeria's rights are protected and that perpetrators of right breaches do not go unpunished. As I speak to you today, nobody has resigned from the military architect for the bombing of innocent lives in Abuja. The question then is, are you sure that your right has not been violated as Nigerians? Many of you do not understand what human rights stand for. That is why we have to continue to remind you that we will not sit back while your right is being violated. Regardless of whether you are a man, you are a woman, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim, whether you're a traditionalist, we would not sit back and allow your right to be okay. I'm also being told that lawyer Bolanle Rahim, a right has been violated. Thank you so much, Dr. Fab, Mr. Fab rather, for telling me that. The 60 Angel TV channel. Good evening, brother. And also, you will be joining us in the next 20 minutes. Sorry for the slight changes in the timing as well. So we'll be hearing from a mother on the Sosoliso plane crash. But I'll give you a background to what happened. And then by the time she's calling, she will tell us exactly how and what happened when they were waiting for their children, only for the plane to have crashed. What a very terrible situation. Also, like I said all the time, this is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Every Wednesday, it doesn't matter, cold, sunny, whatever the weather is, we are here to serve the community.
This is Star Radio UK.
Once again, thank you so much. As some of you said, the audio is okay. It's just that some of the other platform people are complaining about the audio, but it seems that everything has now been reset. Some of you that are watching us in Africa, remember that the network and all that can have a big impact. I love you all in Nigeria because most of you that are watching the Star Radio UK are watching us from Nigeria. Shout out to those of you in New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Malaysia, wherever you are around the world. But remember that UK is tightening up the immigration, and maybe it is time for us to start thinking of home. I'm not talking about home in Nigeria, home in Yoruba land.
Welcome.
Wari Jinadu say, waited this long pause, Buhari regime left. It seems that the former president Muhammadu Buhari, knew what he was doing, by making sure that he wanted to kill Igboho, just like he wanted to kill Nnamdi Kanu as well. Bamishe, we will never forget her, Anyanwola, that was killed in Lagos. There is still no justice for her as we speak right now.
This is Star Radio UK.
If this is your first time, also the quote of the day says, your time and resources are limited. Make sure you invest it wisely. I repeat that again. Your time is very, very important. Your time and your resources. What resources do you have? My only resources is to speak to Nigerians and try to tell Nigerians that you cannot kill as many Nigerians. We will not allow such to happen. Also, I've been told that Tolulope Arotile, the finest first combat pilot, helicopter pilot in Nigeria, she was killed right in Kaduna as well.
This is Star Radio UK.
Oluwaseun Wario 741. If you're watching on Instagram, thank you so much. Wherever you're watching us, why not invite some other friends and tell them that we are live on the.
This is Star Radio UK.
And I'll say thank you once again.
Welcome.
All the way in Woolwich, in Plumstead, all the way for those of you that are working, all the nurses that work tirelessly during the COVID-19. We pray for those that have died. Over 26,000 people died in UK. I was affected as well. And it seems that Boris Johnson, the former prime minister, was grilled. He felt a little bit uncomfortable. He was looking for sympathy. I spoke to some of the family members that were on the ground there, and they were not interested in whatever or deceit that Boris Johnson, the former prime minister. Do you think that we can ever have such in Nigeria to invite former president like Buhari, Jonathan, or Obasanjo into an inquiries as to so many atrocities that took place during their government? What do you think? Put it in the comment section.
This is Star Radio UK.
Once again, a very good evening to you, Prince Salim. Good evening to those of you that are watching us on all the platforms. My name is Olami Koiki, and this is
Star Radio UK.
Amnesty International just last month told us that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also has failed. He hasn't been in power. I mean, imagine a government that has not been in power for almost a year and is already violating your rights. I mean, what do you think would happen in the next 3 years? We thought that Buhari was worst. We are now also seeing that Tinubu is violating your rights. Because the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, Rugi Giant, shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you also, those of you in outside London. It's been very cold in Cumbria, and I hope everything is back to normal. If you're watching us in Scotland, please make sure you have your heater on. I know it is quite expensive. Shout out to my family as well at home. Shout out to my children. Shout out to my loved ones. And also those of you in Ogun State, in Abeokuta, in Kogi, in Kwara, Ilorin, Ibadan, Lagos, Ojuelegba, Ekiti, Ondo, wherever you're watching us, I say thank you so much for being part of the program.
The best radio show.
Triple DRSA, maybe in another world, you think calling those old men to answer any inquiry. So what you're saying that we can never get Buhari to come and become, speaking to us with so many atrocity that he committed. Because atrocity that he committed was kidnapping and rendition, Nnamdi Kanu, and likewise trying to kill Dr. Oloyigbowo. Good evening to my beautiful mother, Mr. Kende Salami say, Ken Sarowiwa, wow, I almost forgot Ken Sarowiwa was killed by the late Sani Abacha. Abacha, the evil man, the sadist, just like Buhari is a sadist himself. Great, the great, says, hello, Koiki, how are you doing? It's very cold in London, but I'm doing very great. Good evening once again to my beautiful mother, and Iyola Adedoyin, shout out to you as well. I hope you're all enjoying the program. If you're doing so, why not give us a thumbs up and share the program as well?
This is Star Radio UK.
I'm going to go swiftly back again to Oloye because I have just 11 minutes to join, our mother rather, that will be speaking to us when it comes to, the current situation with the ongoing Sosoliso. Maybe some of you never knew, but again, thank you so much. Yes, it is clear, and may God bless you. Those of you on Olayomi Koiki, you might literally have to switch to the KOIKIMEDIA Instagram so that you can be able to continue to watch us, because we're going to be using that mobile phone to make a call to this mother that will be telling us everything you need to know about Sosoliso. On Sunday, December 10, it will be 18 years anniversary. Wow, how time flies. Think about it. Yoruba Ni, thank you so much. If you're watching us in Denmark, in Belgium, Australia, New Zealand, those of you in Dubai, we pray for you. We hope that President Bola Tinubu will be able to resolve the issue between Nigeria and the Emirates, because many of you are living there and you're not working. Sule Adi, thank you so much once again. And as we continue to say, maybe it is time that Bola Tinubu, but my brother, my uncle said it's never going to happen. It is time that we invite Buhari to come and speak to us. We do not need his interview to tell us what he feels. And maybe now that he can't go to Niger, we've literally blocked the border because Nigeria do not have any relationship with Niger as we speak to you right now. Again, Igboho has now been not just free, it has now been confirmed that whatever the attempt on his life was wrong and it should never, never have occurred. If some of you disagree with Igboho, maybe you might want to listen to what Amnesty International said just last month, November. And it says, after 6 months in office, as the Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has failed to uphold human rights in the country. The International Human Rights Body said these are the public presentation of a document titled Nigeria Human Rights Agenda 2023 in Abuja. We've seen police officers violating your rights. Some of you have put on a dreadlock and you've been turned into a yahoo. We know that we have criminals among us, as many are also not criminals. Many of you dress the way you want to dress, but you have been violated your right. Many of you are driving flashy cars, not because you don't have the money, you are hardworking, but you are automatically told to give me your phone. I mean, imagine the police officer that were there, trying to make sure that there was law and order at the COVID inquiry. Imagine if they have to say to every single one of us, oh yeah, give me your PIN number. Open your phone now. Let me see what is inside. Oh, you are talking to people in Africa. Oh, you must be a criminal. Many of you have friends. Many of you have relationships. Many of you have network. The beauty of the social media is that you can literally communicate with anybody. Good evening to you, Silver Badmore. And if security officers, security agencies are telling you to unlock your phone without a court warrant, that means your right has been violated. Mr. Abiyo went on to say, old wine in the new bottle. President Bola Tinubu can never do anything right to Nigerians. The document says various areas of human rights violation continue in Nigeria 6 months since President Bola Tinubu came to power. Many of you might not understand. Good evening to my brother. Good evening to you all. And once again, Easy Dollar, welcome to the program. As I always say, we all have a role to play. I am just here playing my role because maybe we can speak much better, against the government of the day, regardless of whoever is there. Tinubu does not, I don't care whether Tinubu is from Yoruba side. What I care is that your right should not be violated. I do not want your right to be violated. You can abuse me. You can talk to me anyhow. But one thing is, your right is being violated, and I do not appreciate such. Thank you so much, Ale Green. Good evening to those of us that attended the beautiful outing at the Yoruba Thanksgiving Day. From the organizers to all the honorables, to those that prepared the meal, to all the DJs, to all those photographers, to all our mothers that made it in that bleak, cold weather. Princess Awoniyi, Awon Ekiti Parapo, the Yoruba Elders of Council, Erelu Heritage, Bedu. It was a beautiful outing. Seeing Dr. Zabi was so important. Thank you so much to our father that flew all the way from France to that event to grace it. Also, I did promise you that we will speak to Oba Ogboni. The interview, you will listen to it in just about a few minutes. And I have to walk about that quickly because I now realize, okay, I think we're going to have to manage it because I realized that the interview is somewhere hanging somewhere, but we'll work on it. Bear with us. I'm still trying to see if we can get in the next 6 minutes. We're going to speak to the next caller on top of this Sosoliso. Sosoliso was a plane crash that took place. So those of you watching now on Olayemi Koiki, we plead with you to join us on the KOIKIMEDIA, where we are also streaming from on the Instagram, so that we can be able to reach out. Please do not go away. Join us on that platform. We're live there, or you can go on the YouTube on the Star Radio UK. You can join us on the Twitter or the X, rather, not Twitter anymore, on the Star Radio UK as well. If you want to get in touch with us on the Star Radio UK, you can send us an email, or you can reach out to me personally. Also, remember that we also have the Avon product. I don't carry the product. What you do is, you can buy from Avon, and that will be a referral from myself. Once again, if you have anything you want to discuss with us, if you have something important, you can send me a personal message, or you can also email musakalam@gmail.com. Once again, we will not sit back and allow anyone to violate your right. So please join me on the other platform, those of you watching right now. So as we move into the next conversation tonight, it's going to be more interesting. There's still a lot to discuss. I'll be sharing with you, the interview that we were able to pick from Oba Ogboni Abalaye. He was also at that event. Good evening to you, to the chairman of the day of the event, the Yoruba Central Office under the leadership of Dr. Kiberon Kursi. Thank you so much for the great job you're doing. Anike Praise, we appreciate you, we love you. Aziz, thank you so much. And Easy Dollar went further to say that, good evening to our leader, the Professor Adebanji Akitoye, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination Group. My name again is Olayemi Koiki, and this is again?
This is Star Radio UK.
Now, as we are still trying to find out, communication between us and the legal team, but it seems that if that is not going to happen tonight, do not worry. I'll be telling you more about that later as well, when we eventually, come back as well. As we say all the time, I am playing my role. Are you playing yours? We all have a role to play, and playing those roles is very, very important. Is the key to the progress of those of us that are campaigning for the right to self-determination. Self-determination is not a crime. Please do not allow anyone to deceive you. Do not allow anyone to fool you. Do not allow anyone to give you the impression that asking for that right is the wrong thing. There is nothing wrong in asking for our right. It is our right, and that right will be respected by the current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That right will be respected by everyone, including whoever does not expect us to speak. We can't continue to live in denial. We are Yoruba people. There's nothing wrong in that. We are the indigenous people. We are a well-created breed. We are individuals that love life. And that life means that nobody should take life away from us. And like I always say, I am playing that role. You must play that role as well. And it is important that every single one of us should not be allowed to say that because we want to remain Yorubas and we will not speak out. If Bola Tinubu is not happy with what we are doing, there's nothing he can do. He will just have to accept it. Bear with us, those of you on the TikTok, because there's a kind of movement there. So let me now go straight into the conversation of the Sosoliso plane crash. I know that there was a one survivor, but what about those that lost their loved ones? What about those that we are saying that today, for the fact that the federal government of Nigeria till date refuse to talk about these individuals? Once again, the daily code is your time and resources are limited. Make sure you invest it wisely. I am investing my time to the Yoruba nation struggle. You all know where I stand. I do not disagree that if you don't agree with me, that we should have a total disintegration, de-amalgamation of Nigeria. Shout out to Elijah Karaki, and also to a mother that we're also looking forward to your birthday, Elijah Adeyeye. Shout out to Bashegun. He's working on some few things. We will try and see if we can bring Bashegun to the program next week, Wednesday, God's willing, to speak to us on some of the things that some of us need to know. And like I said, if you think that the Yoruba Nation movement is dead, maybe you might want to sit back and maybe you should hear what Oba Ogboni Abalaye told me at the interview that he granted us before he left back to Nigeria. Now, let me give you some timeline before we call our mother in the next few minutes. Today is the 6th day of the month of December, but in the next 4 days, there will be 18th anniversary of what we called not just a crash, but lives that were affected, lives of innocent people that got killed because of the negligence of the country we call Nigeria, a country that does not value life, a country that does not respect human rights, a country that some of us are asking the question, are we sure that Nigeria would ever work? Many of you still believe that Nigeria is going to work. Shout out to you, Kunle Bakers. Shout out to Mrs. Bemileke. Shout out to all our listeners and those of you that continue to follow us across the platforms as well. As we say all the time, we are here because of you. Shout out to amazing_Wemi. Thank you so much for joining us. Papa DJ, the baddest. Thank you so much. And also, Yawa Awoni. It was great to see you. And how is my little angel? I hope she's doing very well. While we're still trying to get intro to call to speak to this, our beautiful mother that lost a son at that event that took place in 2005. These are individuals that Mr. Lawrence say, what a failed nation. I mean, I'm not disputing that we don't have accident. Accident does happen. But when accident happen, do you try to avoid it? Do you know when was the first plane crash in Nigeria? I'm going to be telling you that. But let me give you the background to this particular story or an incident that occurred in Nigeria. I've seen, this beautiful son that got caught up at the Sosoliso event plane crash. It was an incident that took place in 2005, but this airline was operating from 1994 till when, things went the other way around. Sosoliso Airline Flight 1145 flew out of Abuja heading to Port Harcourt at about 14:08, which is about 2 p.m. local time in Nigeria. This was on the 10th of December 2005 with about 110 passengers on board. I can confirm that 108 of those passengers died in that plane crash. It was an aircraft A McDonnell Douglas DC-932. What literally happened? How did it happen? Can we learn lesson from such? As Nigeria learned lesson from such atrocity? There was another serious accident from another airline. I'm going to be telling you the name of the airline that took place 3 months before the Sosoliso airline crash in 2005. But what we have been told from a little bit of investigation that we got to find out was that the plane itself slammed into the ground and burst into flame while the parents of these innocent lives were waiting inside the tarmac expecting the plane to arrive, disembark with their children. Some of them have now had to add the pain of such in the last almost 18 years. It's going to be 18 years anniversary. Do we continue like this? Do you want me to continue to tell you about bombing by the Nigerian military, aircraft is being destroyed, and so many other atrocities, the violation? When do we say enough is enough? This is a question to many of you Nigerians that still disagree with some of us that say enough is enough. All the way in Ojaudon, shout out to you and to all the sister broadcasts that are watching us that say good evening to Mr. Femi Adirere. Once again, we can sit in our own comfort zone, but what about those that are being affected badly in what is known as Nigeria today? Many of you say it is bad leadership. I disagree. We are not one, and we can never be one. It is time that we say enough is enough. While we are saying that enough is enough, good evening to you. Let us first, do more briefing. If you just mute the background there of whatever you're listening to. So this Sosoliso airline. Hello, I think, are you listening to something else again? Can you reduce that completely? Thank you so much. And just focus on the mobile phone. You can just get the screen on, but make that to be on the mute. So in 2005, parents were sitting, waiting. On the line now, we have a parent she's going to give us a bit of, this is going to be emotion for some of us, but please let us use this opportunity to say to mothers that are going through pain, that may Almighty Lord, whatever you believe in, be with them. It is a very difficult time for some of the mothers, the fathers that are still alive. Some of them have died, but we are grateful that we have our mother today that is still alive to speak to us about what took place during that Sosoliso airline crash in 2005. We were told that it's a pilot error. If this was a pilot error, could it be that the pilot should have been dismissed before this pilot committed this blunder? Also, the aircraft name was Rose of Enugu. I'm not sure this is Rose of Enugu because it actually created pain in the mothers that we're going to hear from in just about a few minutes. Let me also tell you that second air disaster to occur in Nigeria in less than 3 months, which we had the Bellevue Airline Flight 210 that crashed on the 22nd of October 2005. So in 2005, Nigeria experienced a very, very devastating disaster in the airline industry. Let me now welcome our beautiful mother that have joined us from a base. She doesn't have to tell us where she's based currently, but she's not in Nigeria. She has relocated out of Nigeria, and we don't need to know wherever she is right now. I say good evening to you and welcome to the Star Radio UK network. And I say good evening and let us hear from you. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome to the program. We're going to start from a bit of background to your beautiful, handsome son that eventually got caught up in this devastating disaster. Let's find out. Who was he? I know you are the mother, but what happened before the day of the accident? Take us through what you can still remember. I know it's going to be 18th anniversary on Sunday, and what we are doing today, we're just preparing for the anniversary, just to recollect and remind many Nigerians that some of our mothers, many are crying for what Nigeria has done to their life, and you are just one victim. I pray may Nigeria never happen to any one of us. So let's start from there. Just give us a background. Prior before the accident, what happened? Who was your son? What happened? Was he going to the school? Let's get a little bit of feel, then we can start taking it from there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this opportunity that I've been so long to have, but I'm grateful that God connected me to you, and I am grateful to the platform, Star Radio. My son's name is Adeleke Victor Adewoga. A very humble, gentle, and brilliant chap. The pain is still in my heart because I lost a gem. He was such a brilliant chap. It's going to Loyola Judgement College in Abuja wasn't my own making, but I would say it's God's making. Because he was such a brilliant chap that everyone wants to be around him. He had a friend called Prisola Tapabalogun during the Obasanjo's time. It was the mother asked around which one is the best school in Nigeria. Because of the substance these children are having, you cannot afford to do the best for them. And that has been my aim, to give the best to them and to have them be on their own at the right time. And the kids are trying. They did the Loyola entrance exam, and they all came out. Both of them came out successfully. I was even teaching him. I won't be able to go out. I'm a civil servant, and your daddy is just a common. But he refused. He said he wanted the best, and we supported him. We had to let him go to Loyola Judgement College. On getting there, he was doing excellently well. Though it was not easy, but we were just trying that. It's not going to be a journey that we not end. That before we know it, 6 years, we will be out of school and we will start enjoying the fruit of our labor, not knowing that our jail will be cut short by the event of Sosoliso. This particular afternoon, as usual, the parents will go to wait for the kids at the airport. We were there waiting. We weren't told anything. Nobody even tell us anything. We were just there waiting, but we just saw commotion. Everyone, we were seeing people closing down the counter, at the airport. Each individual agent will be at the counter. We just saw them closing down. We were worried. We said, what was happening? No one is around to tell us what was really happening. It was amongst us, a parent that slipped into the tarmac and went and came back to tell us the sad news. That was how we headed to where we were told they had been rescued to. My son was among those that made it to the hospital because, every day you talk, every day you talk, I was just having this feeling that you are saying the truth about Nigeria. They never prepare for anything emergency. There is no emergency. If I tell you that the nearest hospital to the airport is about 1 hour 30 minutes by road, and it was a bad, terrible road. Before they got there, most of them to the hospital, there was no oxygen to revive me. It was a sad. Up till today, I was still having the pain. And whether you are not in someone's shoe, you cannot feel the pain as such. But I thank God I'm still here. I'm still here. Thank you so much.
And I know this is a very terrible incident, and when some of us popped up, our beautiful mother was quietly watching me 3 years ago, and we eventually connected, and we've been talking around other areas until she said to me, did you ever heard about Sosoliso crash? And I said, well, I'm sure I did, because I've left Nigeria as at the time this happened. But we know that, things happen in Nigeria and sometimes we forget. I said, no, don't forget it, because my son was affected. How old was your son? We call him the great Victor Adeleke that has now passed on. As at that time in 2005, how old was he and what class was he? Was he secondary, GSS 1, SS 2, SS 3, as at the time?
He was 14 years old, almost 14 years. He to write his junior WAEC. We have paid for the WAEC. He just to come on holiday by the time he will write the exam.
So you are living in Port Harcourt or what? Because your son was schooling in Abuja.
We were in Port Harcourt that time.
So that was where you were living. So every time they have this, is it the first time your son will be traveling on the aircraft, or is this something that you just thought maybe for a change, let us give him the treat? Is this something that you do all the time? Allow him to travel?
He started from JSS 1 in that school. He started JSS 1 from that school. He has been going and coming.
Using the aircraft to travel, not by road.
Yes.
Okay.
Not by road.
Because
the very first time we traveled by road, that was the first time he went for the interview to the school. And what we saw on the road was pathetic.
So you thought that it would be more safer to travel by air?
Exactly.
Okay.
We just saw them through. No one.
Okay. So now, because for the benefit of our listeners, so that means, was this part of a school organized flight? Because from what we are told, there were so many other children that were involved in that accident.
No, it wasn't from the school. We parents organized it.
Okay.
The only duty the school is owing us is to help us take them to the airport. And usually, they take them as early as 6 o'clock, whereas their flight will be around 2:30. But we decided that it's better they are at the airport than to go and miss the flight. So that particular day, the school had moved them from the school to the airport. They were there till when they're supposed to leave. They said politicians wanted to use the plane. They were not able to come with the exact plane they're supposed to come with.
Okay, so if I'm right, so Sosoliso was not the actual flight that was booked for these children.
It was Sosoliso.
Okay.
It was Sosoliso that was booked for the children.
Okay.
For the timing.
Okay, so the timing.
Was the yes.
So the timing that they traveled was not meant to be that timing, but because of the politician wanted to use that slot, so they have to give it to those politicians as against the children that were already at the airport about to travel.
Yes.
How many of the children are we looking at here? How many of them, coming from that? Are they all coming from the same school?
From a school alone, 60 children.
Wow. 60 children from one particular school.
That's 3 classes because there are no more than 15, 20 in a class. So it's about 3 classes that they lost the same time.
What? Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
It's a very pathetic thing.
All right. Once again, for the benefit of those of you watching us, this is
Star Radio UK.
Sosoliso was a plane crash that took off from Abuja heading to Port Harcourt. It's not the first time that this flight must have been flying, but what thing is, on the 10th of December, just less than 15 days before Christmas, a mother lost the son. Was this your first son?
Yes.
Wow. If we had, it would have been 32 this year, and that means he would have been a great man, probably married with grandchildren for you. Let's come back again to, the event of the day. So payment has been made, flight has been booked. Yours was just to go to the airport and get them home or get him home. When the accident happened and eventually you were told, were you opportune to know that your son was also one of those that survived as at that time, so that you traveled along with them, or you were just held in the airport? I want to get the feel of that before we start talking about what the government have done and what they've not done. As they set up an inquiry, have they reached out to the family in the last 18 years? After the accident at the airport, at the tarmac, from what I was told, looking back to the research and what we've said, from what we've heard from you, the plane literally, slammed on the ground and burst into the flame. But you said that your son and few people survived it, but they have to travel 1 hour, 30 minutes from Port Harcourt Airport to the nearest hospital. Again, getting to the hospital, there was no oxygen. Where were you as at the time after you knew that the flight that was bringing these children has already had an accident?
We were at ground where airports there waiting for them. If we had been told earlier that they were the ones that were involved in accident, we would have made up our mind. But no individual has even called us to tell us anything. We were all just worried. We were moving from one place to the other. Hold on.
Let me get that. So even after you were able to notice or saw, the activities at the airport indicated that something has gone wrong, but you never knew that that flight also have your own children, including other parents that were waiting.
We didn't know.
At what point were you informed or briefed by the security, by the agency, by the airline? At what point? I mean, because we're talking about from 2 p.m. right now. So at what point did you eventually realize that, wow, that aircraft is the one that was bringing our children from Abuja that have crashed? For those of you that are listening to us, we're talking about Sosoliso airline that crashed in Nigeria in 2005 on the Star Radio UK.
This is Star Radio UK.
At what point? At what time?
Because I've not experienced something like this before. I was just thinking that it was a normal thing. No one has spoken anything to us. We were just moving from one point to the other, but a parent out of all of us just sneaked into the tarmac. He was the one that now went in to see things and came back to tell us that it was our children that died. I was wondering that before we could say Jack Robinson, everywhere has been cleared. We didn't see a soul at the airport. They all fled. I don't know whether they were afraid to tell us the truth, or maybe they are hiding something. Also, tomorrow I was just worried. I said, how could this happen? Something is happening. No one is telling us the truth. I managed to ask an agent when I saw something running. I said, please, what is happening? And we were expecting our children. They have been moved to another, they are going to land in another place because of what happened. I said, what happened? He was just rushing out.
Okay, now let's fast forward. So the next day, probably maybe things started becoming more clearer. I don't know how long it takes you to now find out that that aircraft that you were waiting for eventually landed, but it exploded. What has been the government? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
It was the same day that we knew what had happened.
Okay.
I told you a parent sneaked in and came out.
Yes.
So when they told us that they moved them to the hospital, we saw ambulances coming in, cars, different things moving around us. We knew that something happened, but we never thought it was our plane, our children's plane. So we managed to go to the nearest hospital to us. It about 1 hour, 30 minutes. And when we got there, we saw these kids. Most of them are passed because there was no oxygen. According to them, they don't have anything to revive them because of the film. So you need to see my son. It was just as if he was sleeping. The impact was not much on him. If he had been able to get oxygen, maybe he would have made it. But that's Nigeria for you. At the airport, let me go back to the airport. When I saw trucks parked, but unfortunately, none of them is having water in their tank. It was a terrible rain. Storm only at the airport, because as we were coming, there was no sign of rain. But when we go to the airport, the rain was so much as if God was not happy with us. And I knew that He was not happy because it wouldn't have happened because they would have survived it if there are preparedness. Because the pilot, according to the information that he has been telling them, he needs to land emergency landing. He has been telling them, but because they've never prepared for anything in Nigeria, may Nigeria never happen to any one of us that are here in this life.
Amen.
It was heartbreaking.
Wow.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio.
Let's come back now. The incident has happened. You eventually saw, the beautiful, handsome son lying there dead. What was the responsibility of the government? We know that would have been a big news in Nigeria in 2005 in December. For those of you that probably will not recollect, because a lot of things happening in Nigeria that we lost track. But this mother can't lose track because the son would have been 32 years old today, would have probably got, have children, and then that means grandchildren. But unfortunately, he died along many other as well. About 108 people died in that particular aircraft, McDonnell Douglas DC-932, carrying 110 passengers. This was an accident that was just waiting to occur because 3 months prior to that, there was another accident from the Bellevue that crashed, killing 117 people on board. So it is not new. Let me tell you that in 1956, there was a canoe crash of a Bow Argonaut in 1956, literally 4th of June. I'm going to tell you what happened after 1956, and I'll be telling you more about another airline that crashed, known as the Dana Air Flight going from Abuja to Lagos. Was there any kind of inquiries that was set up, to find out? Was there any kind of compensation in the last 18 years? I know you have left Nigeria. I'm sure maybe there was these family that came together after children have been buried to set up a memorial, and you'll be telling us what you plan to do within the next couple of 4 days that you're launching, because you want to start talking about it in what we call the V-blog, to remind people that Nigeria is just another crime scene. Was there, as of 2005, I believe that would be the former president Obasanjo that will be in power, if I'm right. Hello?
Hello, dear.
I said, as at the time that this accident happened, Obasanjo will be in power in 2005, if I'm right.
Yes.
Did the president, as at that time, met with any of the family to also, pay condolence visit to the family, either in one form block or probably government officials?
Obasanjo only went to the school.
Okay.
He didn't have anything to do with the family. He went to the school, but the state government tried their best. They moved around, and that was all.
What has been life like in the last 18 years without your son, Victor Adeleke? What has life been like?
It has been so, how do I call it? In fact, I just pray that my life will be gathered together again if I'm able to pray more harder, because it has not been easy. I can tell you, it has not been easy. Your hope, when one is having hope, and the hope was dashed, and no one is even coming around to support you. In that painful situation, you will be lost. As I'm telling you now, I'm not myself. Even my husband became so much affected in that he lost interest in everything. So
18 years is going to happen in the next 4 days, which is just a countdown. What do you plan? How do you want to remember, these very terrible, sad incidents that also had your own son involved? What do you plan to do? I know every year, as December is coming, your heartbeat is going, and as the day gets closer, your heartbeat is going. But I'm sure you've been very strong mother in the last 18 years, and I know, you don't have to go into details. I know you've told me that you've got some other children just after Victor Adeleke, and we pray that may God be with the rest of those children as they continue to become the shining goal for you. How do you plan to now, 18 years in the next 4 days, on Sunday precisely, on the 10th of December? What is the plan? How do you plan to remember this, your son, going further?
I want to have a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel will all be about talking, because so many people are carrying so much on their heart, in their heart. They don't have anyone to talk to. I want people who are going through grieving to come on board, to let us discuss about our life together. Let us move forward, because if we continue to carry the pain in our heart, it might not prolong our life. I want everyone who is grieving to come out and let us, because they said problem spoken out is half solved. If you bottle it up, you might end up crashing.
Mm.
So many parents have gone because they don't have where to air their view or who to tell them sorry. So in another form, I want the youth to now start celebrating people who loved ones, dead or alive. Because when we should celebrate ourselves while we are alive, we should not wait until we are dead before we start celebrating the dead. So I want my platform to be for that. And another thing I would like to do is to have a foundation for these kids.
Okay.
Most especially my son, whereby we'll be helping others that are looking into education, solid education for kids. I want children who have brains, but they are not privileged, that we should help them out in one way or the other, that we can support the family.
Okay.
Thank you.
Again, I understand that it's a very difficult time to speak about it, especially, like I said, when December is coming. There has been another plane crash just after yours, and it seems that it has become just the normal. We saw even, the one of the ministers that has just arrived into the new administration of the current government almost got killed in Ibadan some few weeks back. I know you are no longer in Nigeria, but each time you look back, to Nigeria, what would you say, each time you look back, to Nigeria? I know this is a very tough question because we don't know who to blame, but it seems that whatever has happened. But each time you look back to Nigeria, what do you think of it?
According to you, Nigeria never happened to anyone. It has always been that Nigeria never prepared for emergencies. People who are in position of power, authorities, they are not doing what they are supposed to do. Most of our politicians, they just go to this seat to fill their pocket with funds or money, I will call it. They don't put citizen interest into heart. They don't mind whether the citizens are dying or they are going through serious situation that they needed their assistance. They don't care. I don't know what's happening these days. Whether they don't have fear of God in them or they are not from a good background. Because if you are from a good background, a leader is supposed to be a servant. You should serve your citizens, the country. Not that you should go there with the hope of embezzling money. Surprisingly, when you go to secondary school in Nigeria and ask them which work would they want to do when they grow up, they will say they want to become a politician because they believe that when you are in that position, your own is to embezzle money. Because they see the life politicians are living and they know that except you are a politician in Nigeria, you cannot live a successful life. So I'm always very sad to see the situation now. You can see what is happening in Nigeria today. That no one, even people that are working, they are not enjoying their lives because the expenses are so much for them. So let's now talk about people that are not doing anything. People that are less privileged. See the way they are making life unbearable for people. I don't know what they are planning to do. Are they planning to exterminate every citizen in Nigeria so that they will be ruling their families alone? I wonder what is happening to our country. We have said it. There's no way we can stand like this forever. Nigeria should be disintegrated and everyone should go there back. Yoruba nation, no going back. Because that's the only way that can give our people that comfort, that benefactory instinct that they belong to a country. When you belong to a country, you must be able to stand for the country. No one today can stand for Nigeria because everywhere you go, because you are a Nigerian, they will even treat you badly because you are from that country. So I'm of the opinion that there is no point deceiving ourselves any longer. Let us dismantle Nigeria and ourselves.
Mm.
Do you know what? When a fish wants to get spoiled, it doesn't get spoiled in a day.
Mm.
It has to be a gradual process. Nigeria has been getting rotten because the foundation was not proper. Anything you gather with life, it will not last.
Mm.
So, Nigeria is no more. I'm always saying it because I know what I'm saying. As a civil servant in Nigeria, I know what I'm saying because I have gone through it. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight. And we pray. And on Sunday, we will also be, communicating. We will bring up that anniversary. What is going to be the name of the YouTube channel that, that we are looking up to be launched on Sunday? God's willing, for these, our brilliant, Victor Adeleke. What is going to be the name of the YouTube channel?
The 60 Angels TV.
The 60 Angels
TV.
Series.
School, 60 kids died.
Oh, yeah, 60 Angel. I didn't get the last
60.
part. Yeah.
S-I-X.
I got that one, yeah.
60 Angels TV.
CV.
60 Angels
TV, okay. So please share the link with me so that we can be able to push that link out. And, on behalf of all our followers on the Star Radio UK and the sister broadcast, what you can do for it's 60 Angel TV on the YouTube channel, where she's going to be launching that on the 18th anniversary of the death of her son that occurred at the Sosoliso plane crash traveling from Abuja to Port Harcourt that went bust as well. Thank you so much for joining us, the Star Radio UK. We will continue to pray for you. And like I said, we will also be with you on Sunday when that will be launched. And we will also be speaking with you soon again. Thank you so much. And, on behalf of the team here on the Star Radio UK, I say thank you so much for being part of the program with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
effort in putting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, and that is a mother there. You can see the pain. Mr. Tony B, good evening to you. Good evening once again to my mom. Good evening, Dizzy Ma 123. Also, thank you so much to those of you that have just joined us on the other sister podcast as well. Mrs. Iyabo Olubumi Oluwole. Thank you so much, Tony Ages, my egbon. Why is Facebook freezing? Not too sure why. Maybe because we are running a couple of things behind. Let's see if we can reduce some of what is there, and let me know if it's still. You might want to join the sister broadcast. Bear with us tonight on that. We are streaming on the other platform as well. So if you're having difficult with the Facebook, maybe you might want to join the Star Radio UK, and you can watch it from there as well. Bear with us. Like I say, sometimes there could be a bit of glitch as well. So, but we're trying our best to make sure that whenever we're live, every one of you can enjoy it. That is, the parent, a mother. The son would have been 32 years old. Imagine, what that could have meant. A 32-year-old son died in 2005. But when Nigerians say that Nigeria is still working, some of us, we have so many cases. This is just one out of so many as well. So I pray for this, our mother. As you all know, it is now coming to the time of the Yoruba Nation Self-Determination Campaign, and we go straight to our caller that has been on the line waiting as we're going to bring him in quickly. And this is now the time to speak that beautiful language, Yoruba Niwa, Omo Yoruba Niwa. Mo kí bàbá wa tí wọ́n fẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa, ẹ má bínú pé ẹ ti ń pè wá nítorí pé a tún ní ìpè tí a ń bá ìyá wa kan sọ̀rọ̀ ni. Okay, that's the problem. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò bàbá wa, ẹ káalẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ tí ẹ káalẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ tiwa náà. Ẹ bá wa dárúkọ yín fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá kí wọ́n gbọ́ yín.
Ẹ ṣeun, ẹ kú iṣẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀. Èmi ni wòlíì àtàjì rere gẹ́gẹ́ ojú.
ẹ̀ẹ́kẹ́ àrólé Babalọ́lá láti ìlú Kwara.
ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá wa. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò tí a máa ń pè ní bíbá ní ètò Yorùbá self-determination lórí
This is Star Radio UK.
láago méje àbọ̀. For the benefit of those of you that would not understand the language, I will be doing the summary just after 8 o'clock. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa tí ẹ ti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Bàbá wa ti wà pẹ̀lú wa ló ti ìlú Kwara. Báwo ni wẹ́dà ṣe rí nílẹ̀ wa, nílẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kóòtù òjíire, nílẹ̀ tó dán tí ó dán fún ọ̀rá tí gbogbo ẹ̀ ń dùn yànmùyànmù? Báwo ni wẹ́dà ṣe rí bàbá?
A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé wẹ́dà dáa, ṣùgbọ́n ebi àti ìyàn ló ń pa wá níbẹ̀. A ò rówó gbà ní báǹkì mọ́. Ìyà ń jẹ gbogbo wa, kò sí ẹni bá dé báǹkì tó lóun fẹ́ gba 10,000 wá ní wá fún ní 2,000. Ìjà rí ni a lè sọ pé kò sí, àṣùgbọ́n atẹ́gùn àlàáfíà Ọlọ́run fẹ́ sí wa kò jẹ́ ká tí ì kú alẹ́ là a ó lọ lábẹ́ àwọn amúnisìn lágbára Ọlọ́run.
Nígbà tẹ́ sọ pé ìyàn kódà omi kan wá àwa táwọn nílùú òyìnbó pé oúnjẹ ló kún sí bíbá rẹ̀ ní bàbá jẹ́. Bàbá wa ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá ń gbọ́ pé Yorùbá nation kí là ń pè ní Yorùbá nation àti pé kí ni ó ń pè ní Yorùbá nation? Ṣé nation tá ti gbà ní àbí báwo? Torí pé kò yé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ tá a bá ń sọ pé Yorùbá nation, a fẹ́ gba Yorùbá nation, ṣe lọ́tún máa ń bi wá pé èwo ló ń jẹ́ Yorùbá nation? Ẹ bá a kọ́kọ́ ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ ká tó máa mẹ́nu lọ sí ibi tí a fi sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí.
Ẹ ṣeun. Kí ó tó di pé wọ́n kó wa pọ̀ mọ́ ẹrú ní 1814, a ti jẹ́ ẹni tó ní ọrọ̀ tó tún yá ìjọba mìíràn lówó. Ṣùgbọ́n àwa Yorùbá tí à ń pè ní Yorùbá, àwa ni ọmọ Oòduà tó ní ilẹ̀ tọ́lọ́ dẹ̀ filẹ̀ kẹ́ tó gbogbo kẹ́ tó sì jẹ́ pé inú ọrọ̀ wa ni gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà ti ń jẹ tí wọ́n sì wá ń fìyà jẹ wa. Yorùbá nation, ohun tí ó lè solve problem wa nìyẹn. Kò sí àwa
This is
We
Star
can-
Radio
àti ìgbà, ṣùgbọ́n mo gbàgbọ́ láì lágbára a ó gbà á. À ń wo lọ́ọ̀kan, Ọlọ́run á sì mú wa débẹ̀. Ilẹ̀ tá ò tí ì gbà ni, ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀rọ̀ wa dàbí ọmọ Ísírẹ́lì. Wọ́n wà lóko ẹrú. Ọlọ́run rán Mósè sí wọn. Wọ́n tún bàjà, ṣùgbọ́n síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ Ọlọ́run pàpà lò ó dẹ̀ gbà wá sílẹ̀. Mósè wa àkókò yìí, bàbá wa Akíntóyè àti ọmọ wa Sunday Adéyẹmọ ọmọ Ìgbòho, mo mọ̀ pé ẹ̀mí wa ń là wọ́n dẹ̀ kó wa délẹ̀ nírí. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá sọ pé àti gbalẹ̀ Yorùbá irọ́ ló pa o. Torí ìjọba ọlọ́pàá tó wà nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ló sì ń rúùlù wa. Sójà yẹn ló sì ń rúùlù wa. So kò tí a ò tí ì gbà, ṣùgbọ́n mo gbà pé nípa oore ọ̀fẹ́ Ọlọ́run ẹni tó níṣẹ́ yóò mú wa gbà. Bí mo ṣe lè tí ì ṣàlàyé ẹ̀mọ́ nìyẹn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìbéèrè tẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ mi.
Ẹ máa ṣe gan bàbá wa tí wọ́n ń bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ náà ni bàbá tí wọ́n di ilẹ̀ Yorùbá mú fún wa nígbà tí gbogbo wa tí a bá wà lẹ́yìn odi. Àwọn bàbá kan ṣì ń bẹ nílé. Bàbá wa ká tó mẹ́nu lọ síbi tá a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí. Mo rí pé ní èní èèyàn kan sẹ́ndì nǹkan kan sí mi láti Kánò. Nígbà tí mo gbọ́ èdè Haúsá ló fi sọ, mo wá ń béèrè lọ́wọ́ arákùnrin náà pé kí ló sọ sínú ẹ̀. Ó ní wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ náà nípa ìdájọ́ tó wáyé ní Ecowas ní lánàá fún bàbá wa olóyè Ìgbòho. Ìyẹn wá dání sí pé nǹkan kan wà tí ó ṣe pàtàkì tó ṣe kókó tí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tí a ti ń polongo ẹ̀ tí a ti ń lò pé ó máa dé kò ní dé. Bàbá wa ẹ bá wa ṣe aṣọ lójú eégún náà.
Nípa ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ, àwọn náà mọ̀ pé à ń lọ. Wọ́n sì mọ̀ wípé ìdájọ́ tí wọ́n ṣe ìdájọ́ àwọn tó ṣe ìdájọ́ yẹn tí wọ́n ṣe ìdájọ́ yẹn mo fi àdúrà ránṣẹ́ sí wọn nígbà tí mo rí torí pé mo gbè lẹ́yìn rán wọn sì gbè lẹ́yìn ìbìjà tó bá jẹ́ pé lóòótọ́ èmi ẹnìkan sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nìí níbi tí mo ti lọ ṣe mọ́tò mi ó ní àwọn rò wípé alágbájá yóò gbà wá lẹ̀ ni wọ́n ní wọn ọ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé ṣe la alágbájá yóò dìbò ẹrù wa wọ́n ní ó wá dojú ẹ̀ báyìí alágbájá tí mò ń wí ẹ ti mọ̀ èyí pẹ̀lú bàbá àti dárúkọ ẹ̀
ẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ bàbá
kò lè ṣe wá ní
ó ti yé wa ẹ máa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ bàbá.
so alágbájá òye ìgbà wá lẹ̀ ó kò tún dìbò ẹrù wa ni torí búkí ni a sọ fún wọn nígbà náà pé kò lè ṣeé ṣe ṣùgbọ́n ìran ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá sì sọ wípé alágbájá iná ni ó gbà wá alẹ́ tí wọn ò tẹ̀lé Yorùbá ká kúrò lóko ẹrú èmi mọ̀ pé mi lè pè wọ́n lọ́mọ àlè o ṣùgbọ́n ó lè dàbí ọmọ àlè ni wọ́n torí náà ìwé tí àwọn Kánò sọ yẹn òótọ́ ni torí orí àwọn ìdájọ́ yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹni tí ò ṣe é forí sọ òun ni Sunday Igboho èmi fi gbogbo ẹnu sọ fún gbogbo wa pátá ẹni tó bá fẹ́ kó gbé ọ̀rọ̀ mi lọ kó tún lọ sọ Ọlọ́run rán wá ni láti wá gbà wá kúrò lóko ẹrú Ọlọ́run dídì gbé dìde ni kì í ṣe ọmọ ṣe kì í ṣàgbára ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni bàbá wa Akíntóyè gbogbo àwa tá a bá dẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú àwọn wọ̀nyí láti kúrò lóko ẹrú ẹ̀jẹ̀ àfi òtítọ́ àti ìṣọ̀kan ṣiṣẹ́ náà a ó lè délẹ̀ lérí ní kíákíá ẹ ṣe.
bàbá wa mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín mo wá rí i pé lótìtọ́ a sì ní àwọn àgbàlagbà tó ń bẹ nílé tó ń wọjọ́ ọ̀la ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àmọ́ bàbá a fẹ́ polongo Yorùbá nation ọ̀nà tá a fẹ́ gbà àti ọ̀nà tá a ti ń gbà ǹjẹ́ àwọn ọ̀nà tá à ń gbà yẹn pẹ̀lú tẹ́fẹ́ bá wa sọ lé lórí nípa in tí a fẹ́ sọ pé tí a bá fẹ́ jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ yìí ó ti di dandan pé àwọn kankan gbọ́dọ̀ máa inject tó gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé òun ní rédíò bàbá wa ọ̀nà owó la fẹ́ gbà láti fi bá àwọn èèyàn wa sọ̀rọ̀ àti pé kí ni pàtàkì kókó níṣẹ́ tí rédíò tó fi ṣe nínú ìrìn àjò yìí.
ẹ ṣe púpọ̀ inú mi dùn sí ohun tí ẹ sọ yìí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ bá gbọ́ mi jákèjádò.
ó ń gbọ́ yín bàbá.
ó dáa ṣùgbọ́n nílẹ̀ tá a wà yìí tá a bá fẹ́ dé ilẹ̀ ìlérí yẹn a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣẹ̀mẹ̀ pé nígbà ayé àtijọ́ tójú wa ìgbọràn wọ́n ṣe rédíò kan wọ́n pè ní redivision wọ́n pè ní asọ̀rọ̀mágbèsì ẹnu ọ̀nà ìyàn ló máa wà ohun tí wọ́n bá sọ látàárọ̀ di alẹ́ òde aago 12 òru kó tó dákẹ́ àwọn kan ló ṣe òun ni wọ́n wá gbà lọ lọ́wọ́ wa tí wọ́n kó lọ tí àwọn Fúlàní àti Haúsá ìwà fi ṣe rédíò tẹ́rí tí wọ́n ń gbé rédíò kéékèèké dání láti máa gbọ́ gbogbo ọ́dà tá a máa fún ọ látòkè ọ̀nà tá a lè gbà polongo náà lọ́lọ́ fi rẹ̀ wá lọ́wọ́ tí a ti wá ní rédíò tiwa àti ní rédíò tiwa tí a ṣe tó jẹ́ Yorùbá Nation Radio tó sì jẹ́ pé ó kárí oko ó kárí ilé nípa pé a ní rédíò yẹn lọ́wọ́ ṣé rí tí ó bá jẹ́ pé àwa Yorùbá bá ṣe ṣe nígbà tá a bẹ̀ sí ṣe pósítà tá a bẹ̀ sí ṣábì tá a ṣe t-shirt káwá ṣe rédíò yìí kó pọ̀ yanturu káwá bẹ̀ sí lọ sínú oko níbi tí iná ò sí tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n gbé rédíò yìí dání ó ní sólà ó ní tó lè fi ṣáàjì fóònù ẹ̀ tí wọ́n mú dáwọn náà tó jẹ́ pé ọ̀rọ̀ tí a bá bá sọ bí ẹ ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìròyìn Yorùbá Nation yìí tí ẹ gbé jáde sórí rédíò yẹn tí ó dẹ̀ káàkiri àgbáyé pé gbogbo ibi tí ọmọ Yorùbá bá wà tí wọ́n sì ní rédíò yìí tí wọ́n ń gbọ́ ọ́dà náà á máa jáde láti rẹ̀ nípa bẹ́ẹ̀ à ń ṣe campaign yẹn to the grassroots àwọn campaign tá a ṣe ń gbà yẹn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ò gbọ́ nǹkan kan torí àwọn ìlú ńláńlá la lọ sí tá a ti polongo sọ àwọn tó wà lórí oko ògbọ́ la ṣe wá dọ́gbọ́n pé rédíò yìí ó ṣiṣẹ́ dé ìsàlẹ̀ lóòótọ́ àwọn kéréje kan wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ rédíò yìí tẹ́lẹ̀ tó jẹ́ pé oṣù òbórí ṣe pọ́n ìyẹn làwọn ò ṣe pariwo ẹ̀ tá nídìí àti pariwo ibi tí ẹ bá ti sọ̀rọ̀ lókè òkun dáa tó wà lé sọ̀rọ̀ gbogbo ayé ni ó máa gbọ́ tá a bá wí wọ́n á gbọ́ wa kára ọ̀nà tá a lè gbà dé grassroots nìyẹn ọjọ́ ẹ̀kan tí mo lè sọ nípa rẹ̀.
Bàbá wa
ní ṣókí.
grassroots tẹ́ ń sọ yìí báwo ló ṣe pàtàkì sí nínú ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ṣé ó ṣe pàtàkì pé kí a gbé ọ̀rọ̀ tá à ń sọ yìí kó lọ sínú gbogbo gbèríko tẹ́ ń sọ yìí àti pé wọ́n ní rédíò ọ̀hún fúnra rẹ̀ bí ẹ ti ṣe sọ pé ó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n tún wá ní nǹkan kan máa dé èwo nìyí tó tún fẹ́ dé láàárín àwọn rédíò yẹn ẹ bá wa ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ àti pé ṣé a máa rà á ni.
òun náà ní rédíò alágbèlọ́wọ́ lọ́wọ́ báyìí ìtìta ni a máa tà á torí eléyìí tó dé àwọn kan ló ṣe àtìfẹ́ kó dúró wá jù lọ nínú ìrìn àjò yẹn ó ní iye tá a san fún rédíò yẹn níbi tó ti ń ṣe wá tó dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé ó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ tí ẹnikẹ́ni bá da lóòdù ẹ̀ lórí asset ẹ̀ a máa gbọ́ ṣùgbọ́n ó ní short wave radio rédíò tá a lè ṣe ó ní FM ó ní àwọn rédíò míì tó lè gbọ́ ó ní iná tó lè tàn nínú ilé ẹ̀ lálẹ́ ó ní ohun tó lè fi ṣáàjì fóònù ẹ̀ torí sólà ni kì í ṣe rédíò tó máa ra bátìrì sí oòrùn ló ń bá ṣiṣẹ́ nípa bẹ́ẹ̀ àti gbà pé tá a bá rí àwọn ènìyàn tó lè sponsor ẹ̀ fún àwọn tó wà nílé torí ilé gan láti nídìí kàfé ẹ ti ṣe rálì ní òkè òkun ẹ gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ilé ìgangan làwọn ènìyàn ò tí ì mọ ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ebi ló ń jẹ́ kọ́mọ̀ ìpẹ́ kan ṣẹlẹ̀ báyìí ṣùgbọ́n nínú ìrìn àjò yìí a lè dénú oko níbi tí àwọn ènìyàn gan ò ti níná tí wọ́n ní tó jẹ́ pé ìhó oòrùn ṣàáràn bẹ́ẹ̀ tí wọ́n á gbé rédíò ẹ̀ síbẹ̀ ohun tí a bá wá sọ́ńbẹ̀ láti òkè òkun wọ́n á máa gbọ́ nípa Yorùbá nation so ẹni tí ò létí ẹni tó wà nídìí ọjà àgbẹ̀ síbẹ̀ á máa gbọ́ ẹni tó wà nínú oko àgbẹ̀ sínú oko á máa gbọ́ ọ̀kan tó lọ tí àwọn gbé àwọn ẹni bíi ẹ bá ń bọ̀ tán ti gbọ́ ẹgbẹ́ o wọ́n ní wọ́n mọ̀ bí báyìí o ní ayé ìjọ́un olè nígbà ayé tẹlifíṣàn olè wọ́n máa sọ̀rọ̀ nígbàdàn olè adé máa sá lọ wọ́n mú olè ní Àkókó ní Èkìtì torí ìgbà tó bá ní olè bóyá o ti wọnú ilé a ní wọ́n ṣàkírí bó ṣe bá sájáde báyìí abọ́sọ́ fún àwọn èèyàn ni kò sì nígbà pé rédíò ló tún òfo àwọn grassroots tá a máa ṣe dé nìyẹn. wọ́n sì máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ó ní àwọn ìkankan tí a máa ṣe dáàní sọ lórí rédíò tó jẹ́ pé àwa tó wà létí plan fún tá a máa fi mọ iye àwọn ènìyàn tó gba rédíò yẹn tí ó sì jẹ́ tiwa bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn ẹ ṣe.
mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ bàbá wa tí ẹ ṣe ti ń fi ọ̀rọ̀ tó ọ̀rọ̀ tí a fi ń gbọ́ látọ̀dọ̀ yín bàbá wa ìrìn àjò yìí bí a ti ṣe ń tò láti bí ọdún mẹ́ta a rí pé kò mú jàgídíjàgan wá ṣé bó ṣe láti máa lọ náà nìyẹn torí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe ètò Yorùbá nation bí ìgbà tẹ́ fẹ́ mú ìjà wọnú ìlú ni ẹ bá wa ṣàlàyé fún àwọn tí kò gbọ́ dáadáa lágbọ́yé.
ẹgbẹ́ bóyá kò ní ìdìpá ajá àwọn tó ń ṣe diplomacy kan máa ṣe lọ àwọn tó ń ṣe awareness ilé kan máa ṣe lọ àti tó tí Ọlọ́run bá ràn wá lọ́wọ́ lákòókò tá a wà yìí kò sí ní oko tá a sì ní gbọ́ pé Yorùbá ó ń lọ. Mo lè sọ nípa oore ọ̀fẹ́ Ọlọ́run lẹ́nìí mo wà níbi tí mo ti ṣe mọ́tò mi ẹnìkan ní bàbá kí ni solution sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ mo ní solution náà ní pé kó ní kálukú pé ó ní kájí ẹ̀ pé ẹni àwọn agbófinró gan wọ́n máa sọ fún wa pé ilé solution we can't talk because we are still with them. Ẹni tó sì gbọ́ wọn ìyà ń jẹ àwọn náà mo lè ṣe ẹ̀sáǹpù ní ìsìn tí ò bá jẹ́ pé Ọlọ́run tó gbé Yorùbá ní ṣẹ̀dídé Yorùbá ìbá ti parẹ́ àwọn arábí ìbá ti gbalẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ wa bàbá ti lé wa jìnnà so a nídìí láti múra lákòókò yìí kí gbogbo wa tẹ bá ń gbọ́ mi ká di ẹyọ kan ká kúrò nínú ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà ká fi orí fún ẹnìkan ẹni tọ́lọ̀ bá fún ní orí ẹjẹ́ àforí fún ẹjẹ́ àtẹ̀lé ká dẹ̀ ṣe ìṣọ̀kan kí àwa tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ lé ni ṣé ẹ rí gbà àkọ́kọ́ àwọn tó wà lókè òkun ti kówó fún àwọn onírọ́ wọ́n ti jẹ́ kí wọ́n purọ́ fún wọn nítorí pé wọn ò tètè rí èèyàn wọ́n ní tàbá ti rí ni lóko ajá la máa ń pè láwèé òun ló fa gbogbo wàhálà tá a wà nú èyí a máa bọ́ ọ ṣùgbọ́n ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ jẹ́ kí àwa àwọn tó jẹ́ pé lóòótọ́ wọ́n nífẹ̀ẹ́ Yorùbá kì í ṣe ìfẹ́ oúnjẹ tí wọ́n jẹ ni ó máa wà nídìí ẹ̀ mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run pé rédíò tá a sọ yìí a pè wá ní Yorùbá Leadership Forum àwọn ló ṣe kò sí ẹnìkan tó lè sọ pé agbára òun ni ṣùgbọ́n agbára Ọlọ́run pẹ̀lú àwọn ènìyàn abẹ́ májú mẹ́rìndínlógún at 27 la jẹ́ nígbà tí rédíò fi jáde ṣùgbọ́n ní ìsìn àdúgbẹ́lẹ́ Ọlọ́run ó ti tẹ̀ káàkiri gbogbo stage láti lè make sure pé adé grassroots ní gbogbo ọ̀nà tí a bá lè gbà ó jẹ́ ìka tí mo lè sọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
kó tó di pé a máa jẹ́ kẹ́ lọ bàbá wa a sì ní wákàtí 4 minutes láti lò pẹ̀lú yín torí à ń gbádùn yín bí òyìnbó ṣe ń gbádùn tíì nílùú òyìnbó kí láǹfààní gangan pé kíran Yorùbá kó dá dúró bàbá wa àti pé ta ni wá ọ̀rọ̀ méjì yẹn ẹ bá mi nànà ẹ̀ dáadáa ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú.
àwa ni ọmọ Ísírẹ́lì kí a fi ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ lọ sóko ẹrú àǹfààní tó wà fún wa ní pé ká dá dúró àwọn ọmọ wa tó ń ṣerú níta ká padà wálé a sì ní resources a ní nǹkan àlùmọ́ọ́nì tó lè gbé wa dúró nígbà ayé àwọn òkú nìkan la rí ìgbà náà ní àárín ọdún mẹ́fà. Àwọn iṣẹ́ tí Awólọ́wọ̀ ṣe ó sì wà pàdé ní olónìí. Ọkùnrin ti ṣe ń lẹ̀ ni wọ́n parẹ́. Mo rántí 1961 tí mo wà ní SCOA ní Àpápá Kirikiri Road. Mo rí èèlò ni wọ́n ta Volkswagen, èèlò ni wọ́n ta Pijomba náà station wagon. Èèlò ni wọ́n ta pickup. Tí a bá ẹ̀wà dá dúró ìjọba wa ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá owó ní ojú ọkọ̀ rẹ̀ lọ́lẹ̀ nínú lórí ni. Àmọ́ ìgbà ayé Awólọ́wọ̀ kì í ṣe wípé a ò mọ̀. Nígbà ayé èjì, màmá mi ni ìyálóde èjì ìgbà náà wọ́n wà láyé nìsín. Àmọ́ nǹkan tí wọ́n gbé ṣe lákòókò yẹn. Àmọ́ nǹkan ìgbà tí àwọn ọmọ dàrú tó bínú sí ó yẹ kẹrù ẹni tó lọ fẹ́ lọ sójú ilé rẹ̀ tó lọ bẹ̀ tó dé kí ìyá jẹ yín tó wá wọ ilé jọ tó wá pẹrẹ ní December tó ní ẹwà máa jẹun tó tún ṣe ní ṣù àpò yín. So àwọn ìkan wọ̀nyí àlùfààní tó wà fún ẹni pé à ń bọ́ lóko ẹrú àwọn ọmọ wa tó ń jìyà tó lọ sókè òkun lọ fọlẹ̀ wọ́n padà wálé iṣẹ́ wà oko là ń dá nígbà náà bàbá ní palm rubber gbogbo àwọn palm rubber yìí wà. I know one place ní Edo State tó jẹ́ palm rubber tí wọ́n ti kọ́bọ̀ ìrọ́bà abẹ tó sì kó lọ láti ṣe táyà fún wa ní òkèèrè wọ́n á tún wá tà fún àlẹ́ wọn. So àǹfààní tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé tá a bá dá dúró ìyà tó ń jẹ wá yìí kò ní jẹ wá mọ́. Lẹ́yìn náà a ó lè ṣèjọba ara wa ọlọ̀tẹ̀ láàrin wa ojú òtí ẹni tó kọ́ ilé tó gbowó tó yẹ kó fi ṣe constituency ẹ̀ tó wá fi kọ́lé ara ẹ̀ tẹ́ tó wá máa lọ yọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú o orí ọ̀gbọ́n ìdẹ́ ni ó ní Yorùbá ronú ẹ ronú o torí pé àwọn òwe ní ọmọ pé ó ti máa rí báyìí gbà náà wọ́n sọ àsọtẹ́lẹ̀ ẹ̀sán ní adéjì wà láyé ó kọrin kan ó ní bí wájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ ń wà mí lọ ní ọmọ ẹ̀yìn lọ́lọ́kọ̀ ń wà mí lọ ní ọmọ lónìí báyìí iwájú lọ́lọ́kọ̀ ń wà wá lọ àmọ́ ibi títí ìjọba ọmọ Yorùbá ń wà wá lọ kò yé wa so ẹ jẹ́ kí àǹfààní láti mú àwọn ọmọ wa kúrò nínú òpó ẹrú ó ń bẹ púpọ̀ nínú òpó àbá dá dúró tá a bá dá dúró ìyà ò lè jẹ wá o ìyà kò lè jẹ wá. Ilẹ̀ wa dára a ní ohun ọ̀nì gbogbo lè lò ẹ ṣé púpọ̀.
Ẹ mà ṣe bàbá wa tó bá tún di ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ lágbára Elédùmarè àtúwá bá ṣe máa tún gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu yín torí a gbọ́dọ̀ máa gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́nu yín nísìnyí torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn fi gbọ́. Rédíò yìí kẹ́ tó lọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, ṣé ó ti délé báyìí
Yes, sir.
àbí ó ṣì wà lọ́nà? Torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ló ti ń bi wá pé rédíò tá à ń sọ yìí ǹjẹ́ ó ti wà nínú ilé fún rírà ní o fáwọn tó fẹ́ rà á.
Ní agbára Ọlọ́run, lágbára Ọlọ́run alààyè bí a ti sọ lọ́wọ́ yìí, gbogbo ẹni tó bá mọ̀ pé ó fẹ́ rà before 2 weeks kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní kàn sí yín. A ó máa sọ ibi tí wọ́n ti máa gbà á. Stéètì tó bá ti wà tó fẹ́ rà fún, ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́, a ó pè wá ní stéètì yẹn, a ó sọ ẹni tẹ́ ẹ máa rí ní stéètì yín, tẹ́ ẹ máa rí gbà bẹ́ẹ̀. Bó ti jẹ́ nìyẹn.
Ẹ ṣé gan bàbá wa láti ìlú òkè náà ni wọ́n ti rí wa bá sọ̀rọ̀, àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn. That is still on the.
This is Star Radio UK.
A máa ní
Welcome.
lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí a kí ìyá wa tí wọ́n láǹfààní àti bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Mo kí Dizzyman 123 wọ́n ní we appreciate you our brother contribution Yoruba self-determination movement. Ẹ ṣé gan for the super chat as well. We are still live. The 60 Angel TV òun náà ni orí ibi tí ẹ ti máa gbọ́ ìyá wa tí wọ́n bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ tán. Ẹ má tí ì lọ torí pé ọba Ògbóni sì máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ ní ohun tá a gbà sílẹ̀ lẹ́nu wọn. Èyí tẹ́ wà lórí TikTok ẹ̀ ní bínú a máa láti jẹ́ kí ẹ lọ torí pé irú fóònù ẹ̀dá ti máa play kinní náà ẹ̀ ní bínú sí wa lálẹ́ yìí ni bí a ta bá play ẹ̀ tán àtúpadà wá. Lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá. I would like to say thank you so much to those of you that have joined us. We are still in that mood of celebration, just as also we are remembering the death of the mother-in-law to Dr. Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. Testimony Oguntona, thank you so much. 60 Angel TV. Gbogbo ìtẹ́bá ti rí lórí comment. That is the mother that spoke to us about Sosoliso. Mo kí our grandma Comfort Adeleye, mo kí grandma Comfort Ogun as well. Ogun Comfort. Now, let me remind us again. Gbogbo gbàlà ń sọ fún ọmọ Yorùbá pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí Elédùmarè kò síyàn kankan tó ń ṣe meeting tó máa ní kẹ́ fáwọn ní kóòdù. Tẹ́ bá ti fún wọn ní code, they will hijack your phone. Your phone will be lost completely. Ìyá wa Comfort Ológunjà mo kí yín o. Mo kí brother mi kan send a message ó ní Mr. Koiki àwọn gbọ́ program tẹ́ ṣe tí ẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn pé ẹ má fún yàn kankan ní kóòdù orí fóònù yín o. Wọ́n ní kódà Amẹ́ríkà táwọn wà àwọn lọ ṣe mistake ẹ̀ gbogbo nǹkan pátá ló affect insurance, medical, bank, driver license, security, whatever you can think of. Mo tún sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lálẹ́ yìí, do not be deceived by the criminals tó wà lórí online, the cyber criminals. These individuals will call you. Wọ́n ní ìpàdé kan wà. Mo kí ẹ Aláwù Bàbá, mo kí Comrade Plan B. Akin Games ni I normally listen to the Yoruba Nation Radio through Zeno FM website. Ẹ ṣé gan ni. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwa tí à ń sọ fún pé ẹ má fún anybody ní code. Mo kí àǹtí wa ìyá dáadáa Faith David. Mo bẹ̀ wá, mo rọ̀ wá. Nobody will call and you will eventually give them 6 digits. They will take over your mobile phone, especially your WhatsApp. Do not do such mistake. Kò sí mítì kankan tí àwọn kan fẹ́ ṣe. Tọ́ ma ní we are sending the code now. Give us the code back. Tẹ́ wá ti fún wọn ní code yẹn. Your phone will be lost forever. We are also reminding us again on the Star Radio UK network. Don't share that 6-digit code. If you do, your WhatsApp will be taken away from you and you might likely not get it back. All your contacts become vulnerable, including people like us and your friends, your family. So, before you get a call by these criminals, we are sending there's a meeting. Hello, the number one, they don't know your name. I mean, these are people that will, it's a random call. They don't know your name, and you are giving them 6-digit code because they say there's a Yoruba meeting coming up. they've used the Yoruba nation to hijack people's phone. I'm talking about a brother in America that sent me a message and said he lost his phone. We are literally 25 minutes to the end of the program on the...
This is Star Radio UK.
I beg us again, don't give your 6-digit code out. If you do, you've literally lost that WhatsApp.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Like I said, we are now going to be listening to the interview we had with Oba Ogboni Abalaye on the 2nd of December, which is just the Saturday that passed on. He has returned back home, but we wanted to bring him into the studio, but unfortunately, he has returned back to his base. We appreciate him, we love him, and we say thank you so much as well. So let us now listen to that interview. It's just about 8 minutes, and that means by the time we come back, we'll be preparing to come to the end of the program. My name is still Olayomi Koiki, Oba Ogboni Abalaye. As I said, this will be in audio, but later on tonight, the video will be uploaded for the benefit of those of you that wants to see. We couldn't get it put together, through the technical team, but I can tell you that we've got the audio ready for us to listen to. Is Yoruba nation dead? Is the question. Let's now listen to the gentleman called Oba Ogboni Abalaye.
Tí màá fẹ́ yẹ kẹ́yìn ni ẹ máa dárúkọ yín fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń bẹ nílé àtọmọ Yorùbá tó ń bẹ lẹ́yìn òde. Ẹ bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ kan yín fún gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n máa láǹfààní àti wo fọ́nrán yìí.
Orúkọ mi ni Ọlárẹ̀wájú Tajudeen Bákàrè tí gbogbo ayé mọ̀ sí Ọba Ògbóni Àbáláyé lágbàáyé àti wọ́n ń pè ní Àjàmájẹ̀bí láti ìlú Nàìjíríà.
Tó ẹ ṣe kan ní bàbá wa fún àǹfààní gbogbo ẹni tó bá máa wò ó. Kí ni a máa pe èní lédè Yorùbá ní ọjọ́ àti ní oṣù?
Èní náà pè ní ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta tí ó jẹ́ sátọ̀dé àbámẹ́ta àmọ́ tó ṣù Bélú la wà. Èṣù Bélú la ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ lò tán. Ọpẹ́ ní oṣù tá a wà yìí. Bélú la lò tán, ọpẹ́ la wà yìí tó jẹ́ ọjọ́ kejì ní ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta nínú oṣù kejìlá.
So ìyá máa jẹ́ 2nd of December 2023. Bàbá wa, torí àsìkò tí a ní pẹ̀lú yín, ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ṣé ìlú òyìnbó lẹ́wà nítorí pé tí Ọláyọmí KOIKIMEDIA ti ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀, ìlú London ni tí a bá tẹ̀lé mú confirmation ẹ̀, a wà ní school kan tó ń pè níbi tí kí ló tún ṣẹlẹ̀ gangan lẹ́nìí, ìdí tá a wà nílé, bí a kẹ wá sí nígbà ká lè mọ̀ pé torí ó ṣe é ṣe kán lè ní pé ẹ̀sìn nílùú òyìnbó. Bàbá wa, kí ló kọ́kọ́ gbé yín nílùú òyìnbó náà?
Ẹ ṣeun, nígbà tí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe agitation láti bí ọdún méjì, ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation ò jẹ́ kí n káàlè lọ́sẹ̀ mi lákòókò. Ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tí ìsinmi tó wá bọ́ sí mo tó wá gbọ́ pé àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá Central Office wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe Thanksgiving nílùú London. Opportunity lélẹ́yìí, gbogbo àwọn KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn gbogbo everybody, àyè rí gbogbo wọn. Níta bá ṣe lọ́jọ́ èyí tó jẹ́ ọjọ́ àbámẹ́ta ọjọ́ kejì oṣù kejìlá nínú 2023 ni pé a wá ṣe Thanksgiving fún ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tí ó wà nílùú UK. Òun la wá ṣe lẹ́yìn nílùú UK làwọn láì ní London làwọn láì lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́.
Bàbá wa, wọ́n ní Yorùbá nation kò ti tán, wọ́n ní Yorùbá nation kò tẹ̀ sí mọ́ rárá. Ilé lẹ́yìn wà, ẹ̀yin odi làwa wà. Ìjẹ́ lè sọ fún wa pé Yorùbá nation kò ti tán, kò sí kankan tó jẹ́ Yorùbá nation mọ́.
Gbogbo ń dábàá ní Yorùbá nation ò sí, irọ́ pátápátá ló ń pa ọ̀ǹdọ̀rọ̀ àwọn jẹ ni. Yorùbá nation ṣì wà, ó dẹ̀ ṣì ń lọ. Nítòótọ́ la láwọn ọ̀dàlẹ̀ tí wọ́n tò sẹ́yìn olóṣèlú. Ṣùgbọ́n yóò di wa lọ́wọ́, gbogbo activity wa ló ṣì ń lọ. Èmi náà bọ́ láwọn ẹ̀ sọ pé kò sí rálì mọ́, gbogbo awareness ta fẹ́ fáwọn èèyàn wọ́n ti mọ̀. Gbogbo rálì tó yẹ ká ṣe òun láti ṣe ní gbogbo state wa tó jẹ́ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àti ṣe. Yorùbá nation ṣì ń lọ lábẹ́lẹ̀. Wọ́n ní ọmọ wọn ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀, ọmọ wọn ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀ lóòótọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n ìyẹn ò di lọ́wọ́ ká má tẹ̀síwájú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation wa ò dúró o à ń tẹ̀síwájú lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation wa tí nǹkan kan sì lè dá dúró lágbára Elédùmarè.
kí lè sọ fún àwọn tó ń bẹ nílùú òyìnbó tí a tún lè máa ṣe nípa ìrìn àjò Yorùbá nation àti lọ́dún mẹ́ta báyìí àwọn kan ní movement ni kò kí ní àsìkò ìjà máa ní ọjọ́ àti pé tá a bá máa ní ọjọ́ kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀ fẹ́ ká gbé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní aṣíwájú ti wà níbẹ̀ pé ká lọ sinmi díẹ̀ ká jẹ́ káwọn ibi tó fẹ́ rìn sí káwọn ibi tó fẹ́ gbé sí kó tó di pé àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá àwa tẹ̀síwájú.
tí wọ́n bá sọ pé káwọn ibi tí aṣíwájú lè ṣe sí ìbéèrè táwọn ọkọ̀ bí ara wa ni pé ǹjẹ́ aṣíwájú gangan ló ń control country yẹn àwọn kàbáàdì ń kọ́ ṣé Yorùbá ní gbogbo àwọn kàbáàdì tá a sọ yìí tàbá wù dáadáa ṣé Yorùbá ní wọn ẹ̀yà ní sùúrù lóòótọ́ à ń wò ṣùgbọ́n kì í ṣe ohun tó gbọ́dọ̀ pé torí tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́la tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́tọ̀la tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà àbọ̀ ẹwà dúró ìyá táwọn èèyàn ti ń jẹ ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la ṣe fẹ́ máa jẹ lọ tá a bá gbàgbé tí Yorùbá ṣe gbọ́dọ̀ lọ ni pé nígbà tí wọ́n la sáìn pẹ̀lú àwọn ìlú kan àtàwọn ìlú míì wọ́n ní ilẹ̀ Haúsá ó mú 50%, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá mú 25%, ilẹ̀ Yíbò mú 25%. Tàbá wá nìyẹn la fẹ́ jókòó sí níjọ́ wo ni 25 wà 25 Yorùbá fẹ́ di 75. Àfi ká dá dúró ká gbọ́ èdè ara wa yé ká gbọ́rọ̀ ara wa yé òun ló ṣe pàtàkì jù. Ọmọ ìyá wa ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́tọ̀ tàbá ní ká ní sùúrù ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ́ ká mọ̀ tọ́ra wa jẹ. Ṣé àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá wa nìkan náà ló wà ní gbogbo oríkò ńláńlá tí wọ́n ń fi àwọn èèyàn sí tí wọ́n lè ṣèjọba? Ṣé àwọn nìkan ni? Ní ayé bàbá tó kú ọ̀bẹ Buhari pẹ̀lú àwọn èèyàn tó gbà síbẹ̀ ṣé wọn ò jáde ní kí lọ rí tún ṣe? Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ security ṣó ti dúró? Ṣé wọn ò pa àwọn ìyá wa mọ́? Wọn ò pa àwọn bàbá wa mọ́? Ṣé wọn ò pa àwọn ọmọ wọn ò bá àwọn ọmọbìnrin wa sùn mọ́ nínú igbó? Kí ni tá a rí ṣe sí? Ohun tá a lè ṣe òun ni pé káwa Yorùbá fún ara wa ká kọ́kọ́ dá ohun tá à ń pè ní security company sílẹ̀. Tí ìjọba ò bá lè fún wa ní security nílẹ̀ wa káwa Yorùbá fúnra wa ní security ká dé àwọn ọmọ wa sínú igbó kó máa secure ìyàwó kọ́ níjà àwọn èèyàn wa náà ó wà á lè ṣe ẹ bá gbọ́dọ̀ ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí wọ́n fún wa ní 21 days ọ̀sìnmẹ́tàn báwọn ò ní gbóúnjẹ wá ní Yorùbá nígbà tí wọ́n mọ̀ pé ibi tá a ti lè gbé oko tá a ti lè dágbó fúnra wa àwọn ti káwọn èèyàn síbẹ̀ kọ́ máa bá lè jẹ́ lọ́ ṣe ń sọ bẹ́ẹ̀. táwa jẹ́ Yorùbá yìí tá a bá kó àwọn ọmọ wa sínú kókó lé wọn dànù ká lè ráyè dáko nígbà wo nìyàwó lè jẹ wá ibi tá a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ Yorùbá ní ṣọ́ọ̀kì tàbá ní security ọkàn bàbá wa balẹ̀ ọkàn ọ̀yà wa balẹ̀ ọkàn ọmọ wa balẹ̀ pété wọn bá rìn lóru kan kò ní ṣàwọn níjọ́ tí mo ti dé London báyìí tágbó kan òru ni mò ń rí kò sí nǹkan tó ṣe wá ìjú ẹ̀ náà lè ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá nítorí pé nígbà kan.
aago mẹ́sàn-án láti lò bàbá wa
bẹ́ẹ̀ni
ẹ̀rẹ̀ ṣì wà níta.
wọ́n ṣe wọ́n dà pé ìmáà ń tà lágbo kan tó ti bá fún kó omi ń sìn wọ́n tún ń gbé mi lórí kan pé mo tún lọ ṣe fàájì. a kò bẹ̀rẹ̀ aago mẹ́ta òru a lè máa wọ bọ́ọ̀sì mi ò gbé mọ́tò wá mi ò ní mọ́tò nílẹ̀.
ìyẹn pé public transport.
ó máa ṣiṣẹ́ dòru ó máa ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́júmọ́ àwọn kan tún lọ bí iṣẹ́ láago méjì òru yẹn.
so economy kò run ní 24 hours.
24 hours ni. tí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà kí ni tó sọ fún wa kọ́kọ́ lè ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ wa. a ní tírẹ́ẹ̀nì tá a ní tá a rò pa ní security wọ́n máa dá plane wo wọ́n dá tírẹ́ẹ̀nì wo. àìmọye èèyàn ló máa kú. ṣùgbọ́n tó bá jẹ́ ọmọ wa lónìí táwọn bàbá wa fi ń ṣagbára tí èèyàn máa yìnbọn tá a máa lọ́wọ́ sí tí ó sì ní ó ní táwọn bàbá fi ń ṣagbára tá a máa pẹ́ ṣọ̀kó tí àrà máa sán tó máa pa gbogbo ẹni tó ń ṣaburú àwọn ò fún wa lágbèéká ṣe òun ló fa tó wá fà á tá a fi gbọdọ̀ sọ fún wa pé ọmọ ìyá wa ló kú àbẹ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká dúró tó bá di láàárọ̀ ọ̀la kó bá gbà wọn lọ́wọ́ kọ́ abáàrúgbó wọn lè bá eléyìí náà láti ronú lé lórí dáadáa bó ṣe jẹ́ ni.
ẹ ṣe lọ bàbá wa ní ìṣẹ́jú kan péré sí gbogbo àwọn tó ń bẹ ní òkè òkun inú òtútù la wà yìí tá a bá ní ká wo bí wẹ́dà yẹn jẹ́ ká pọ̀ tó báyìí fún ọ̀sán láwọn
ìgbà ló ń jáde lẹ́nu
pẹ̀lú bàbá wa fún ọmọ Yorùbá tó ní níbí báyìí pé ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kan ló kàn ní sí ẹgbẹ́ yẹn kalẹ̀ just fún ìṣẹ́jú kan sí.
ẹgbẹ́ tó bá ní ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kan ló kù kábíyè kalẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká béèrè lọ́wọ́ wọn pé kí ni wọ́n ti ṣe fúnlẹ̀ wa tí ọba ṣe tó ṣe fúnlẹ̀ wa tí mo bá jáde kúrò láti Ìkòròdú pé mo ń lọ Sùúrùlérè níbi tó bí mi sí mo lè máa padà sílé epo 10,000. àwa sọ fún wa pé ní Nàìjíríà tá a wà yẹn owó tí à ń gbà tó jẹ́ minimum wage wa 30,000 ní tó túmọ̀ sí pé ìjọ mẹ́ta ni máa fi ra epo sí mọ́tò tí minimum wage á fi tán. ẹ wo òtútù ìbò ṣe tó gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa náà ń jáde lọ́tún wọ́n ń jáde lọ́sì wọ́n ń lọ ibi iṣẹ́ wọ́n ń jáde kò sí nǹkan kan tó bà wọ́n lẹ́rù tábà wá ní ká gbé tì níjọ́ wo la fẹ́ ṣe ìyá ìdí láti 1960 dé sí ẹ̀sọ̀ yàtọ̀ bí nǹkan ṣe ń lo òkè ó ń lo òkè ó ń lo òkè ni kò wálẹ̀ ṣé bá ṣe fẹ́ máa bá náà dé wọ́n ní ìyá mẹ́ta kì í jẹ kinní kan ìran kìíní ti jẹ́ ìran kejì ti jẹ́ ìran kẹta la tún wà tó tún jẹ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ṣáwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kẹrin náà tún máa bá níbẹ̀ ni so Yorùbá nation òun ni ta gbọ́dọ̀ faramọ́ káwa Yorùbá náà dájú ká ní eré ká ní ayọ̀ ká ní ìdùnnú kọ́kàn wá lè balẹ̀ bí ìtìlú tí mo wà yìí nílùú lọ́dọ̀ yìí.
lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí orúkọ yín bàbá.
orúkọ tèmi ni Ọláníwájú Tajudeen Bákàrè ọba ògbóni àbáláyé tí gbogbo ayé mọ̀ sí Àjàmájẹ̀bí.
ẹ ṣe kan ní bàbá wa.
tó lágbára Elédùmarè a ní fídíò yẹn wà nínú gbogbo fọ́nrán tó bá máa fi di ilẹ̀ bá mọ́ láàárọ̀ là mo máa ń lọ sọ́dọ̀ ìyá mi dáadáa my big aunty Amaya Ward gbogbo ẹni tí ó bá fẹ́ ṣe pé ẹ fẹ́ gé aṣọ ni tí ẹ fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ẹ máa look good bẹ́ẹ̀ mi náà ṣe look good báyìí ẹ bá ti ń dé ọ̀dọ̀ wọn ní Amaya Ward ẹ̀yẹn ṣáà lọ sórí IG ẹ bá ti tẹ̀ síbẹ̀ ẹ bá dárúkọ mi ṣe kọ́ fún yín ní discount kékeré mo kí ìyá wa dáadáa ẹ bá ń kí àwọn ọmọ náà eré ètò Star Radio náà la wà yìí as we now come back into the final part for the benefit of those of you that have been listening and you've been wondering what language was that, you know, like we always say at 7:30 p.m. every Wednesday we have a sponsored program from Ilana Omo Odudua under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akitoye that is fighting also as so many of us that rally around him for the right of the Yoruba people, the quest to self-determination. It is not a crime, and there's nothing that says whatever we are doing is a crime. You know, the Scottish are asking for the same right, just like the Welsh wants the same right as well. All we are saying is that let us come on the round table and let us sit down and discuss it. So whatever you've been listening to in the last 35 minutes, we had one of our fathers that spoke to us from Kwara State, talking about the Yoruba nation has its own radio. You know, it's a shortwave radio, not on the FM, but it can be listened to with the radio that will now be available for anyone that wants to buy in the next couple of weeks. Also, the radio can also be charged with your solar that is, you know, embedded. It also has a charging port. It also has the FM section, but the most important thing is every Saturday from 8 p.m. local time in Nigeria to 9 p.m., you can listen to the radio live. But while you are waiting for those weekends, why not also download the apps from the App Store? Like one of our brothers says there, Allahu Baba, no, Aki Game says, I listen to that radio every day through Zeno FM. They are working on some other modality as well. The app is available. You can download it. But remember, when you're downloading it, it must have the Orio Loku. It's called the Yoruba Nation Radio and TV. Very, very important that you all try to download it. In the next 11 minutes, I'll be handing back to my producer. But let us go again and read some of the other news coming out of Nigeria today. Like we always say, Nigeria is a crime scene. And we just saw that when the military literally bombed 150 innocent Nigerians. I mean, it was 2 bombs. Once again, this is Star
Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
It is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. So we're going to go through now with some of the headlines. But first, let's talk about, you know, what our brother, the Prime Minister, government in exile of the Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa. Hopefully, I'm going to see if we can get one of their information minister from the government in exile to speak to us on the Star Radio UK before the end of this month. I'm going to try and call the Prime Minister, government in exile, Simon Ekpa. But he posted these about yesterday. Well, not today, because still 6 of the, no, this was posted last month, but it was just retweeted on the X this afternoon. And it goes like this. Our Yoruba brothers must regard those criminals attacking them as defeated Fulani agents in Biafra struggle. and completely ignore them. It is only the Nigerian paid and implanted agent that will attack Yorubas after historic joint press briefing in Biafra. Nobody should listen to them. We've seen the fighting going on in Lagos State, especially with the properties that have been damaged. What we have said continuously is that until every one of us understand that there is no a country called Nigeria, it is a business center that was put together during the colony. And we stand right to say that because today, the hatred that has fostered among us was created during the British Empire. And that is exactly what they want. And one thing is, if you think that the Igbos or those that are asking for the right to self-determination, why not just give them a referendum and let them go so that you can then take care of your own territory? But as long as we're all together, I'm sorry, they will have the right to live wherever they want to live, just as some of you have the right to live wherever you are living right now. Many of you that are living outside Nigeria, imagine some of us are facing a lot of racism, which I also faced today at the COVID inquiry, and I did challenge them because I will not be tolerating racism while I continue to live in this country legally. While I arrived at the center, you could tell that they were not so expecting somebody of my color, and I did challenge them. The same thing happened last week when I went there. So while we are here trying to prove that we are also part and member of this society, the question then is, as much as we might not tolerate anybody saying that Lagos belongs to them, just like we saw the Oba of Benin coming out to say Lagos belongs to the Benin people. All these are the same reason why we need to get our own country and start putting the history in our curriculum with Yoruba language. But the more that you say you don't want to have a Yoruba country, you will have people telling you that they own Lagos State. Lagos belongs to the Yoruba people, but one thing is the present day Nigeria allow anybody to live wherever they want to live. Just like many of you are living outside Nigeria, even up to some of you living in Ghana. Imagine those of us that live in South Africa and we are being also, racially abused. Many of you cannot even live in Kenya. So wherever we are as Nigerians, the question you should ask yourself is, how do you feel if those that tell you that you are not allowed to live here, especially those of you that have the legal right? I'm not talking about the illegal immigrants. I'm talking about those that have the right to live in those countries, like some of us that live in Europe, like myself. So the present Nigerian constitution, we might not agree with it. We believe it's a fraudulent constitution that was put together by the military diktat. But one thing is,
This is Star Radio UK.
that constitution permit and allow every Nigerian to live wherever they want to live. It is entirely up to you to now have your state to make sure that they put in laws in place to protect those land. When you buy a house in UK, you're not buying the land. You are only buying the building and you insure it. That is what should have happened in most of the Yoruba territory. But unfortunately, it is the reverse. But today now, many of you that continue to attack the Biafrans, my question is, why not say to President Bola Tinubu to allow them to go? So because of the time, we only have about 4 minutes left before I hand over to the studio. These are some of the news headlines coming out of Nigeria today. Shout out to you, TJ Baba. Mama Yeti, thank you so much for joining us. Because I'm going to rush this quickly. New Nigerian Deputy Governor leads Kaduna government delegation to the scene of the mistaken bomb of 150 innocent lives. Assured victims of support. Well, that's a lie. The Sosoliso crash in 2005, they never got a support. Also, the Minister of Defense went there as well. Judicial scandal, Abuja community in solidarity rally for Kanu. Kanu says, and I quote, that they will ignite crisis in Nigeria if the current NPP governor is removed for APC. 200 legal teams have been put together by the APC, and we are monitoring that as well. Once again, APC elders sue for calm as internal wrangling rocks Benue State. Let's go straight to the other one. Nigerian Tribune, Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, present 432.2 billion naira budget, prioritize education and health. Health is important, education is important. Many Nigerians are dying because you cannot get access to good health care. Over 4,000 Nigerian doctors have left Nigeria and they've done what they call japa. As again, many of you that wants to come to UK on education purpose or masters, you will not be able to bring your dependent from the new year. Also, you will have to earn 35 to 36,000 pounds. That does not include those of you that will be working under the healthcare or those of you that are working in the what we call care section. You will still be under 26,000. But the fee for the healthcare subcharge is going to 1,000 pounds from 600. So the UK government wants to continue to reduce the net migration into this country, and that is going to affect as many people. But I pray that those of you that wants to get here will be able to do so in time before all these new laws comes in place. I lost 34 relatives. I know a man who lost his 12 children, including his wife, who were picking up body parts and putting them in bako bags. That is the bomb attack by the Nigerian military. The survivor recount details of Kaduna tragic drone attack. It looks like the Nigerian military is just testing all these drones, and eventually they've killed innocent Nigerians. Tinubu, AFC, NEF, JNI call for probe as Lagbaja visit village regret incident. Well, I hope such is not going to happen. The Guardian, state grown in debt, poor funding despite 16 trillion fake windfall. The total fake share, which is the federal executive money that is shared between the state and the local government, is about 15.58 trillion. The question is, how does that impact your lives? Also, in 2021, it was 1.15 trillion was disbursed to sub-national entities. Also, Northwest received 1.56 trillion, Northeast received 1 trillion, North Central received 1.26 trillion naira, Southeast received 963 billion, while South-South received 2.59 trillion, and Southwest received 1.28 trillion. You can see the marginalization that is taking place in that country. How can the North Central, how can the Northwest get more money than the Southwest? It shows that the Yorubas are making the money, but the northern part of Nigeria is getting the bigger share. I'm not sure whether that is fair. Gambia returned €9 bound away to Lagos. Kaduna bombing, Army chief apologized to victim. 2 minutes before the end of the program, COP28, Nigerian reaped windfall in $1 million Africa focus. Let's go to the next one. Blueprint, NGF, JNI, ACF, NEF demand investigation, justice, and compensation. I'm not sure nobody is going to get justice because many Nigerians do not even understand what is justice. Liberty, the last one. 2024 budget, your contribution must go beyond criticism, Abbas tells Nigerians. Following President Bola Tinubu's submission of a proposed 2024 budget of 27.5 trillion to the National Assembly, House of Reps Speaker Tajuddin Abbas has called on Nigerians to contribute more substantively to the nation building instead of criticizing Bola Tinubu. Well, I pray that most of you will survive under this government, just like you survived during the former president. My name is Olami Koiki, and this has been the Niger Voices on the...
This is Star Radio UK.
I'll be back again next week as we continue to discuss the self-determination, the Biafra, the Arewa, the South-South. As anyone that wants to exit Nigeria, maybe it is time we come on the round table and discuss that. And I'm going to hand over back to my producer, and I say, Udaro, bye for now. As I say that, I wish you all a very good evening, wherever you're watching us so much. I appreciate you all on the TikTok, on the Instagram, on the Twitter space, and wherever you've been listening to me. And I'll be back next week, God willing. I say, Udaro, bye for now.
This is Star Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home.
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Thank you so much, everyone. And it is time now to start making my way out. Mo kí gbogbo yín tí ẹ bá wá darapọ̀ mọ́ ní àṣálẹ́ yìí. Lágbára Elédùmarè, a tún máa padà wá ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ nígbà tá a tún máa mú ètò míì wá fún wa. I'm just going to play the last thing from here while I'm just going to disconnect everything and I start making my way. It's very, very cold outside. This is the reason why I feel padà sílé. So maybe some of you do not understand that. It is cold. I don't want to be in this cold, but there's no option if we can't come back home because of so many things that is happening at home. So let's just play this while I'm getting myself ready.
Ọjọ́ òní ọjọ́ tó lápẹ̀rẹ̀ gidi gan-an ni fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá dàda. Orí ni ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ọba ti kú ọ̀tá ìbá yọ ọ́. Wọ́n ní alákọ̀ọ́rí ọmọ ti lọ. Èyí tí wọ́n rò yí ẹ̀ olúwo ọba ló kúkú sẹ́.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Sáńtọ̀ máa Adéyẹmọ ìbò ṣàṣẹ́bẹ̀ lọ wà.
I'm gonna post the video of Ogboni and later I'll post it later. Thank you so much.
Ọmọ Adéyẹmọ o, ìwọ náà fọ́ Olódùmarè ọba ní kí ọlá gbé. Sunday o.
Gbogbo ẹni tó kù náà ṣé gan ni o, àní ìlú bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, ó dàrọ o. Bye for now.
Máa gbọ́, ó ti gbogbo ọmọ Adéyẹmọ o, ó dé wọn mọ́lẹ̀ pátápátá wọn ò lè ní mọ́, ó ti kó wọn láyà jẹ́ kó lè sókè. Wọ́n ṣẹ̀rù bà wọ́n, ọjà wọn láyà wọn ò lè ní fín mọ́, ó ti fi ojú lápọ̀ ìgbà ooru ní ẹ̀gẹ́ dànù. Ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ọmọ bá tiẹ̀ ọmọ ọkọ lóògùn ọmọ àlè. Ìwọ náà bí bàbá dojú dé àfihàn bí ọba ṣe sí ẹjẹ afọ kí ló ń bẹ nínú ọ̀gán ọmọ Adéyẹmọ tí ń dún mọ̀wúrú bí ọ̀pá ni kò pa ni bí ọba ní pa ni kó yé dún mọ̀wúrú. Sunday ọmọ Adéyẹmọ ó ti di bí àná yìí yé ẹjẹ ọmọ bá mú ewé kókò tó bá lè bí ọmọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni ẹ̀yin wa o. Àní lè jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Thank you so much. Ó dẹ̀ tún di ó di next week. A máa pàdé lórí KOIKIMEDIA.
Ọmọ Yorùbá pàtàkì ọmọ ọkọ ní ọ̀hún ṣéwú bẹ́ẹ̀ lọmọ ọkọ ṣe ìwọ lọ padà